All right, everybody. Hello. This is the Talking Games podcast, and it's some date in some year. Not really important because what we're talking about today is Game of the Year 2017. Yes, it's February of 2018, but we are going to talk a lot about the games of 2017 for a bunch of hours. Welcome to our patrons watching live, we are excited to... You're going to get the whole thing in one video. I'm probably going to split this up between two podcasts because I imagine this is going to be like a 3.5, 4 hour long endeavor we got going on here. So we are going to be going down a bunch of categories, and then we're going to be whittling down a large list of games to a list of 10 games and then ordering those 10 games in the order in which we deem them. And that will be our Game of the Year, whatever finishes number one. So that's what's going on with all of this. We haven't done categories in a couple years on this show, so I just want to run down really quick what happens with categories. With categories, we have sort of short lists for each of these categories we've picked out. We're going to whittle down those to 5 for each, and then we are going to vote in a weighted ballot system to see what wins the category. So, for instance, if we have 5 entrants for Best Style, which is one of our categories, we will all vote and basically give our top choice 5 points, our second place choice 4 points, 3, 2, 1, and whatever gets the most points between all of us ends up winning that category. It's how we do things on Talking Comics for years, and we did ballots way back on this categories, but we haven't done that in a couple of years. Game of the Year, though, the top 10 will work the same way it's worked, which is we're going to just whittle a list of down to 10 games, and then we're going to order it, and there's not going to be a vote on it. It's going to be just us figuring out what we can rank in the top 10. So that's probably going to get a little more contentious than the rankings list.
Nah, I'll be fine.
I have a laptop on my lap right here, which I have our Google Docs open, and we're going to whittle this stuff down. Justin, can that camera point any farther down?
Yeah, sure.
I want to see your crotch soon.
It's just a little bit of our...
God.
I don't think it can go much farther down. Yeah, probably not. Yeah, that's all right.
We're kind of like newsreaders. Like, we don't know if anybody on this show has legs.
It's true, yeah. We just have a very weird, like, just our torso thing going on. So anyway... I should say who's here. Justin Townsend is here.
Hi,
but that
I'm
guy?
new to podcasting. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's this unknown guy. We're bringing him on. We're testing him out. Hugh Perry,
Hi.
Kelsey Lavati,
Hello.
and Matt Wood.
Ladies and gentlemen. Hi.
Okay. All right. This is Matt's first
children
game
of
of the
all
year,
ages.
by the way.
Yeah.
This is Matt's first game of the year.
GOT.
It's
Glossy.
Hugh and Kelsey's second. So
Yeah.
we'll see what they've
veterans.
learned in the year since we did this last. So we're gonna get this underway because we got a lot of games to talk about. I have a list of categories in front of me. We're just gonna run down them, and we're gonna see what we can get done in this first episode. So some let's say some ground rules. For the most part, we will. When talking about the games, it is always best to try to just speak positively about the game that you are speaking about and not try to tear down the game that you are comparing it to. We will get there, trust me, but to start out with, it's always best to try to talk positively about why you think this game deserves to make it. And then once we get down to the nitty-gritty, we'll get more into the why it deserves to get over this other game. We will try to keep it as civil as possible. And once we have... sort of the 5 people who want to sort of make a impassioned plea why one of them should win will have their chance to give their closing arguments, so to say.
Also, you're entering spoiler territory.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If you care about that,
yeah,
from here on out, we're going to be spoiling the hell out of these games.
things will be spoiled. So if we're talking about a game, even if we're not talking about best story at the time or something, there's a very good chance we're going to spoil the game at some point, so just beware of that. It's full spoiler warning always right now. We're definitely not gonna go out of our way to do it, but it's probably gonna happen, so just get ready for it. All right, okay, this did a weird thing. All right, good. It's off to a good start. Okay, so we're gonna start with Best Style category. So Best Style, which We definitely did not steal from Giant Bomb. Absolutely not. Best style is basically a amalgamation of the game's looks, its music, its vibe, its dialogue, its characters, whatever. It's the full package. It's the style the game has, and you know, it's not necessarily a place for the best looking game to win, but it doesn't mean that the best looking game also couldn't win in this category. And this is it's a much more of a feeling one, which is I think is a good one to start with, because we got to be able to talk on sort of not scientifically about these things. So I'm gonna run down our short list for best style. We've got Cuphead, ARMS, Splatoon 2, Night in the Woods, SteamWorld Dig 2, Golf Story, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Tokyo 42, Persona 5, Prey, Hollow Knight, and Sonic Mania. Before we go on, was there anything anybody wanted to add to the list before we go on?
No.
No? Okay, just making sure. I just want to make sure, because I don't want to leave anything out just because somebody forgot to put it on the list before we sat down here. All right, so generally how this stuff goes is we kind of just go around and say, like, okay, what do we want to cut from this list? What can we cut? And if nobody has any strong objections to cutting something, we're just going to cut it off the list. So if something gets brought up that you think belongs in this category that we're going to cut, make sure you speak up and talk about it. All right, so Justin, I'm going to throw the ball to you first. What do you think doesn't belong on this list?
I could take off two things.
Well, you could take off one thing, okay?
Oh, man, but I could take off two.
All right.
I could take off two that I added. Make life easy for us. But all right, so I'll just take off the first one is Tokyo 42.
Okay.
Which is this really cool isometric top-down game where you are in a future Tokyo where you can't die. And it's just got this like kind of cyberpunky neo version of Tokyo with these little sprites running around. And you're jumping from building to building. It's like a GTA thing. It's really cool. It has a great style, great pixel art, but it's not going to hang on this list.
All right. So Tokyo 42, easy. See, nice and easy. This is how it's all going to go. Everyone's going to agree. It's gone. We're not going to have any arguments about anything.
Do you take it off?
Yes, I took it off.
Okay.
I took it off.
Just making sure.
I took it off already. Kelsey, why don't you nominate a game to cut off this list?
The only one I don't know is SteamWorld Dig 2. So I'll nominate it, but I could be persuaded.
All right. I'm a big fan of SteamWorld Dig 2. I think it looks great. I think it has a cool style. I don't necessarily think it's a top 5 in this category. Am I the only one who played through SteamWorld Dig 2?
I've played it, but not like through. I agree. It's like it oozes cool. It's got a great aesthetic, but I think given the other games in this category, I don't think it can really hang with a lot of them, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's going to be a top 5. So off. Hugh, up to you.
I am going to probably annoy Matt and say Sonic Mania.
I can defend it, so.
I'm not saying I disagree. It hasn't got plenty of style, but again, I don't think it, in terms of what these other games on this list do, and their overall sort of look, feel, music, gameplay.
I don't know. I could kind of see Sonic Mania sticking around in style.
Yeah, I could.
Sonic Mania, like you look at that game and it like that plus like Studiopolis's music.
Yeah,
like that thing has a look and feel to it. I don't love the look and feel, but it's there.
It's like, for example, like some of the bonus levels like incorporate like that Sonic CD look, which is, you know, just something that kind of weird 3D polygon look is, you know, just such a weird kind of thing to incorporate into that, and like they just fully embrace it. And like you said, that combined with the music, and I think Sonic Mania is a very solid, stylish package, especially when it's trying to capture what it's trying to capture.
I do agree with that. I'm not like I'm not ragging on it by any means. It's like it does.
You hate Sonic Mania. Just say it, okay? You hate it.
I hate you, Bobby.
You want it to die in a fire. I just think that there's enough. sort of objection to it, where we're not going to cut it yet. We're going to keep it for right now. I don't know if it's top 5, but we're going to keep it for right now.
Fine.
I'm going to say Golf Story off this list. I like Golf Story a lot. It has a cool 8-bit, 16-bit pixel art style, but there's nothing super stylish about Golf Story. It's just sort of like, it's supposed to look like a Game Boy Advance Super Nintendo golf game, and it does look like that, but I don't think that anything about it really screams best style to me. So is anybody have any objections to me cutting it off this list? Okay.
I got it already.
You already got it off this list. All right, Justin, you're taking things in your own hands. Matt, why don't you nominate something?
All right.
To cut.
Hugh, what do you love? No, I'm kidding.
Yo mama.
Well, she doesn't belong on this list. I would say Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, just because it looks like Mario, it looks like Rabbids, but not fully invested in the game. But it's where I'm at. Look, if Mario Odyssey doesn't even make the short list, I don't see why Mario plus Rabbids does. So please, someone make the argument.
Well, somebody could have added Mario to this list if they wanted to, but
I get that, but I don't feel like I would not have. That's what I'm saying.
Right? No. I agree with you.
No, I put Mario Rabbids on there just because it's such a weird amalgamation. Amalgamation. Say that word.
Amalgamation.
Thank you. Of those two completely differing things, and they pull off a weird thing with it. But yeah, like I'm totally fine with it going on this list. It's not strong enough to hang with the rest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has a very cool style.
Yes,
for sure. And I think that I really like the music, and I like the way they like change up like the classic sort of like Donkey Kong or whatever themes and bring it and like modern them up and do crazy stuff with them. And I like the tilt shift sort of look to like the world. But I don't think that it's not best style.
No, Luigi has a fucking gun in it. That's pretty stylish, right?
That is very stylish and cool. So let's, I'm going to 86 Mario and Rabbids off of here.
Oh geez, now this is a tough list.
Yeah, so we're back around to you, Justin, I believe.
Hollow Knight.
I can't see Hollow Knight going and Prey staying.
Oh, Prey has such a good Prey. Like I know you look at Prey and you're like, okay, first-person shooter in the space station. But the world of Prey is I think one of its selling points.
It has a cool world for sure, but I don't when you think of Prey, you think it's other than the beginning where there's titles on air.
But even that you walk around that space station and it has a look and in the same way that BioShock did. If you walked around BioShock's world, you're like, this is unique. I haven't seen anything like that. And Prey kind of captures that. The artwork hanging in the halls in Prey, you can buy on high-end art websites. And just the way that the
good.
What?
I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just saying it's very artistic. I agree with you.
It's got it's that game has a style more than most shooters do by a wide margin.
And I do agree with you, but I honestly want to ask you, and this is just me asking you. Prey it has a really good look to it, but what about the other elements of it?
Good music.
Good music.
It's got good music. As far as its menu systems, no, its menu systems aren't anything to jump up and down about.
Well, yeah,
which is what, but a lot of you look at Persona. Persona is
if this was best menus, Persona would win.
Yes,
the
but
award.
that will add to style as well.
Yes.
I think Prey has a look and feel about it that doesn't fly in best looking. But when you look at the game as a whole and what they were what art style they were going for, it would hit in this category. But if nobody else feels strongly about it, that's fine.
That's a very good.
Is the discussion about Prey right now, or is it about Hollow Knight still?
It's about Prey.
It's about Prey.
Okay, all right.
It switched.
I switched. I said,
okay, all right.
Screw you. And now it's about Prey.
All these games are to me are incredibly stylistic.
Top 5?
It's not going to hang with the rest of these. I realize that, but it deserved at least. I'll let it go. It deserved to be at least talked about for a bit.
It deserves recognition, yeah. But I just don't think it's got anything to me from I played maybe a couple of hours of it, so I might not be the best person to talk about it, but to me there was nothing in it that what I saw and what I heard from that game that made me go, whoa, this is like really unique and like stand out to me, even though it does what it does very well. So
Also, does it have style?
Yeah, no, it doesn't have the Gersman style.
That's what you got.
At least not to that degree.
Yeah, no, exactly. I know what you mean.
So fine, we could take off Prey.
Okay, I'm also willing to. Here's the thing: if this was my list, Hollow Knight would make it. But I don't think anybody else has any really strong feelings about Hollow Knight other than me.
I like the look. I like the color palette of Hollow Knight quite a bit. Actually,
it's got really cool music. It's got a very honed and developed style to it. Everything looks of a piece and everything. I'm going to do something radical here. I'm going to say because there's a couple of games. There's really 3 games on here that I think are. I'm not sure if they're going to make it. And then there's already, I think, 4 that I'm pretty certain are going to be on this list. I think we're really arguing about one spot here.
Yes.
For the final one. I mean, I think... Let me just see if anybody ever agrees. Does anybody think Cuphead is not going to make this list?
I think it should make the list.
Okay. Does anybody think Splatoon 2 is not going to make this list?
I can argue against Splatoon 2.
For style.
No, I
get it.
I'm sorry, that should be on the list for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Hollow Knight's really cute.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I think... I'm talking about Splatoon. Just be quiet for 10 seconds.
Yes, ma'am.
I think Hollow Knight's super cute, and I think aesthetically, I would have really enjoyed it if I played it. But I think there's something about all the colors and the music and the way that Splatoon uses all that together that I feel like it deserves to be on the list. But I'm not sure. I don't know if people agree.
It's going to make the list.
Here's what I'm saying.
I agree with you, Kelsey.
I think Cuphead makes this list. I think Splatoon 2 makes this list. I think Night in the Woods makes this list. And I think Persona 5 makes this list.
Agreed.
That sounds about right.
I think those 4 are pretty much shoo-ins for the list. So I think we're really talking about ARMS, Hollow Knight, and Sonic Mania for the number 5 spot.
ARMS, can we talk about it?
We can talk about ARMS. Yeah.
ARMS is my big battle for this list.
Okay.
If there's one category that ARMS should fit in, it's this one.
Kelsey just rolled her eyes.
That's great. Kelsey can do what she wants. The look and feel of that game, take aside whether or not it's very one note. You look at the character designs, you look at the stages, you look at the music, even the menu designs are have a bit of style with them. But man, those character designs are fantastic. They really are.
I think Matt disagrees. Go ahead, Matt.
I love the music of ARMS a lot. I'm not quite with you on the character design, the Helix guy and Coil fella and friends.
Oil fella.
Who's Oil fella?
Coil.
Oh.
Springman. There you go, that guy. There are a lot of things. I look at ARMS and I see a lot of missed opportunities. And I'm not talking gameplay. I'm talking... I like the aesthetic of ARMS, but I feel like they could have done a little bit more with some of the designs of those characters.
Have you seen some of the DLC characters that have come out of that thing?
To be fair, I haven't. No. Except the boss at the end of the game. I know he's DLC now.
Oh, yeah. What's his name? Max Steel?
Max Steel.
Yeah.
But what
about this music, though?
The music is top notch.
Sounds like you'd be a football player.
Right.
Oh, this is so good. I mean, to me, I'm not, Matt, I have no idea what you're saying about the characters. It's gonna be a personal choice thing, but the design of those guys, freaking every time I look at Springman, I'm like, did they look at toothpaste and then think that his hair would look good as toothpaste? Because they're right, it did. Mechanica is, I always think of Diva when I look at her. Helix is a nightmare blob man.
Yeah.
Freaking Bite and Bark It's like a man and his police
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. All right. I forgot about Biden.
I've got to say that out of these games that were left, it was Sonic Mania and ARMS that were the two that were like the contentious ones for me, and I think ARMS edges it for my liking. Because I
cut Hollow Knight, by the way. I just don't think that there's like the support for it, and I don't have the passion for it that you have for ARMS or the thing Matt has for Sonic. So I don't want to. I'm not part of this battle.
I can just remember like playing ARMS with you, Justin, when it first came out, and just like I can remember being like wowed by the look and just like the music in that game is really, really cool.
One of the girls has ramen for arms.
Yeah.
Like, her
will,
stage is a big ramen bowl. Like, come on.
I will compromise on this. I can let ARMS go over Sonic only because ARMS is something new and fresh, whereas Sonic is, to an extent, you know, it's done before. It does a lot of things different with those assets, which I find incredibly interesting. But ARMS it's different. Like the character that's in like the giant robot and stuff like that. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think that's where my thing about Sonic Mania lies, is at the fact that like it does really cool things with stuff we've seen before. And I don't want to like belittle that game in any way, because it was like, it's Sonic as in my eyes Sonic should be. It's fantastic, but I just think in terms of out of that and ARMS, a game that sort of when I played it for the first time I was like, shit, this is cool. ARMS takes it for me.
Yeah, I just before we kill Sonic, you know, when that game was announced and I saw like the first like trailer for it, let me tell you, I have not been excited about a Sonic the Hedgehog game since like Sonic and Knuckles. Like, you know, they released like Sonic the Hedgehog 4, like, I guess, oh my god, 10 years ago now.
It was terrible.
And even with that style, I was kind of like, oh, no, it's not quite it. It's not quite right. As soon as I saw Sonic Mania, I thought, holy shit, there's no way they were able to pull this off. Mm-hmm. And then they did. And it's a really interesting, like, the title, when he comes out of his logo, it's one of those cases of they couldn't do that on a Genesis, but maybe they could have. It just kind of, it really does blur that line of like it's hard to tell the difference between like, could they have done this then, or is this stuff that they could have only done now sometimes in that game. And I think that's really, really cool, because it's you know, it's hard to pull off subtlety sometimes.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and again, I think we're going to talk about Sonic Mania a few more times during these discussions, and I think there is going to be probably even better categories for it going forward in some of our other categories.
There won't be for ARMS.
So I'm going to know.
I think ARMS has a fair shot at music, but
this is the it of ARMS. This is the it of ARMS. So I'm cutting Sonic Mania. So that means that our 5 nominees are Cuphead, ARMS, Splatoon 2, Night in the Woods, and Persona 5. And I will say too, for the people listening, we're going to put these ballots up for people to fill out. So, and we'll give you guys like a couple of weeks to vote, and then we'll announce the fan winners as well. But, so basically what I want us to do now is we have these 5. We've really, really talked about one of them in any sort of in-depthness, because I had to fight for the list. Does anybody here feel strongly about one of them winning and wants to make like an argument for them? Because I want us to make sure we talk about the games we love the most too, not just the games that are the fringe games on these lists. So I can tell you that, you know, in my head, Persona 5 is like the reason for a category like this to exist, because it's not the best looking game in the world. Like the visuals are fine, they're cool, but they're not top of the line. But the way the visuals integrate with some amazing music, really just over the line, great music that's also super stylish, and the way that every little bit of the game has some sort of touch on it to make it unique or stand out from other things, like the victory screen, the way the victory screen is designed in a way that is just oozing like coolness, the from the music to the way it animates, even the way that you navigate the world, like Justin was saying, the menus are amazing. Like they're you don't see menu design like that in most games. Most games are utilitarian in the way they design menus because they're built to just move through fast and to get you where you need to go. And Persona, while I think they're still they make a lot of sense, are oozing with little touches that make them so interesting to look at and pleasing to the eye. And I feel like that goes to the character designs, to the world design, to everything, to the way that the mind palaces look are all different and unique. And every time you get a new Persona, there's something weird and amazing about it. And I just feel like it is why this category exists. And when I think of style in a video game, I think of Persona 5. So that's my pitch for Persona. Did anybody have a game they want to like make a pitch for here?
I would say you could like everything you just said for Persona, and maybe outside the menus because this isn't a sort of menu system heavy game. You could easily apply to Cuphead and probably even argue that Cuphead does it better. I think that for a game made by a small handful of people to look that good and the soundtrack to that, like, don't get me wrong, Persona's soundtrack is awesome. Like, I listen to it like on rotation when that game was out, and I still do now and then. But Cuphead's soundtrack is phenomenal. Like, it's unique, it's original. It's just got this really cool, old school sort of jazz feel to it, and the animation in that game, and the way they realized the aesthetic in that world was just so incredibly well done. And when you consider that everything in that game was hand drawn, and for it to play so well, and for all the characters to be designed so brilliantly, like the different, like the bosses all do crazy and unique things, the levels are all like really, really distinct, and the even down to like the backgrounds is, like, for example, the one fight where you're fighting the two frogs, there's so much going on in the background of that scene because you're kind of like in a bar, and there's just, you're fighting these two frog dudes, but there's just like, a bar scene behind you with people sat at tables and, watching the fight go on. And I just think, like, whilst Persona is a brilliant achievement in like video game design, I think Cuphead, for what it is and where it comes from, deserves a hell of a lot of like kudos. And I just think that in terms of originality and just being something fresh and new, I think Cuphead for me slightly edges it in terms of style.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with anything you're saying about Cuphead. Cuphead is beautiful, but my only not knocks against it, but the only thing that to me is like, yeah, the density of stuff that happens in Cuphead is obviously it's dripping with its look everywhere, but Cuphead's a relatively contained experience, and Persona is trying to keep it up over 100+ hours of content. And I just think that like Cuphead I think deserves, it might be the best looking game of the year, but I when it comes to style, for me, that's why I go with Persona over it. But does anybody else have? I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to ring in with stuff. Does anybody else have anything they want to like push for?
Like Yes, I
Go ahead.
understand that Persona and Cuphead, I think personally, are the clear winners. Like, having not played either, I could just tell that they deserve probably like the two spots at the top. But I wanted to say like Night in the Woods isn't something that like we should sleep on, because I think how this like the sound and the music go hand in hand whenever you're walking through the town, or like the further you go on the mountain, the sound of the music gets lower and like the sound of your steps gets higher, kind of thing. And the way that they integrated that, plus the mechanics, like when you're playing May, the way she jumps is very floaty, and like you could feel like the friction between your thumb and the way she moves. And I just think that there's a lot of elements in the game that examining them separately and the way they come together is like my kind of perfect feel to a game. So I just like wanted to throw that out there, that I think Night in the Woods has like a really good style too.
It does deserve a mention, because that game does what it does like superbly well. Like it looks good, and like you say, the design and sort of like the little touches, like you said, with the music, like the volume slowly drifting off as one sound effect becomes louder and stuff like that. It creates like the air of tension that the game needs and stuff like that, and it does some very clever things. So yeah, I agree that it deserves a mention at least.
I really like the way Night in the Woods looks.
Yeah, I
like
love the way
Night
they
in the
do.
Woods is like, for me, Cuphead's a weird one, because I look at Cuphead and I'm like, this is the best looking game of the year. To me, anyway, it is. Like, it is the runaway winner in that category. But I look at style, and there's so many other games here that just have like a strong sense of style, where Cuphead to me looks and feels really great. But like Persona, just like you look at Persona and you're like, this is why this category was created.
Yeah.
And I also look at Night in the Woods and I'm like, well, all right, like Night in the Woods has this really cool 2D, platforming art style. But then like you go to your computer and then your computer pops up, and now all of a sudden you're playing like a roguelike in your computer.
Yes, exactly.
You're doing the stargazing, you have the dream sequences, the way that the characters talk to one another. Like Kelsey was talking about, like the way that like the sound of your footsteps change as you go up the mountain, like the knife fights and the things like that, where it's just like your hands, the music. Like Night in the Woods like is a strong contender for me in this category. More so, like it's hard for me to look at Cuphead and say like, yes, style, unless Cuphead just wants to run away with everything to do with like look and sound, which I don't want that to be the case. So yeah, like I would put Night in the Woods way high on this list. I might even go above Persona. But that's because I played a ton of Night in the Woods, not a ton of Persona, even though I recognize all the great things Persona does.
So
Yeah.
where I land on this, with Night in the Woods especially, I think Night in the Woods is really impressive because it's so easy to dismiss a lot of it. Like on first glance, you think, oh, it's like a storybook kind of thing. But those characters become so endearing and relatable that I think that's really an impressive feat. And I think part of that is its style, that you can kind of use a lot of those experiences and you can make a connection to it, despite of like first glance and like initial impressions of it. Persona 5, however, I think is clearly the winner. You look at Persona 5 and it's one of those quick cases of like, I don't understand how they designed this before like maybe like composing the music, and because it seems like it just goes so hand in hand, and I feel like as far as balance and like a clear and captures it captures all of that in Persona 5.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Here's my question for us in this whole process. I'm going to suggest a radical thing here, and we can all say no if we want to. Do we just want to, instead of voting, go through these categories and pick the winners?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Because that way, I think it's. I think what I'm sensing so far is that we've got a good rapport going here, and I think we can do that without killing each other. So we don't have to lead it. We don't for now.
I'm thousands of miles away, so I'm good.
He was like, "You don't understand. I'm already plotting your death." So, I mean, I think Persona 5 wins this category.
And
but,
it's my vote.
I don't want to leave a straight up and down vote, but to me, Persona 5 is the winner here.
It's really good. Like Kelsey just brought up Night, thinking of Night in the Woods, like just the way that it does a little bit of everything. It has a little bit of Rock Band. It has like this like weird thing where you're just seeing two arms poking at each other with knives on a screen.
Yeah.
Like those dream sequences,
The mini game where you have to like steal the thing from Hot Topic.
Yes, like I mean, it's just like for as much as Persona like drip style, in the same way, I feel like so does Night in the Woods.
I agree with you.
Where Persona's is like we've seen bits of this before because it's the fifth Persona game.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen an art style like Night in the Woods go for it in that specific way.
No, I mean, I think that. Look, I mean, I think that I'm not disagreeing with you, and I think that Night in the Woods is amazing, and I love it, and I'm going to be fighting for it for a lot of things in these categories. But like, Night in the Woods looks cool. It has great content to it, and mini games, and interesting ways of bringing its world to life. But I just don't think that it has the style that. You know, honestly, for me, like, Night in the Woods is one of my favorite games of the year. But for me in this category, Night in the Woods probably is near the bottom of where I would rank it as far as, like, style goes. I still think it's very stylish, and I like it a lot. But, you know, I think that, like, and maybe it's just the way I think of style differently than some, other people, or, like, what I value as stylish. But, like, for me, Persona 5 and, like, even Splatoon are, like, more stylish to me than Night in the Woods. And I agree with you on Cuphead, though. I think that Cuphead, it looks amazing, and I think it's very strong in that, and the music is great, and obviously comes together in a really cohesive way, but it feels to me like if I was, like, picking, you know, I don't know, like the best looking game to be in style. You know what I mean? It's weird.
Yeah, like when you look at Cuphead, you're looking at like, oh my god, look at this.
Yeah.
Whereas with like, say like Persona, if you took a screenshot of Persona, it might not be the most dramatic thing you've ever seen. Like you kind of got to see it going.
Other than the menus.
Other than the menus. The menus are out of control. But like, you know, that's part of like what I look for in style.
Yeah,
like, style is something that you can't necessarily see in a screenshot. It's something that you have to feel.
All right.
But I would say from like, you know, like the moment you load up Cuphead and you've got that song where it's singing about like Cuphead and his Palmug man, you know, like to play the dice, and
it's great.
You know, I think like saying that it only looks good is doing it a bit of a disservice. Like I will gladly, like, if Persona wins this category, like I will be happy with that, because as I said, like those two games are neck and neck.
I don't think we're discounting the rest of Cuphead. I just think we're kind of saying all its individual parts are so amazing by themselves that it almost feels like, I don't know, a disservice to award it in this category.
I would say
in a way.
I suppose I will concede that. I guess if you want to say the quantity of stylish things that Persona does, in terms of, you know, the look, the music, the menus, and so on and so forth, in that respect, then yes, it has more facets that do come together than Cuphead. So yeah, I will concede on that measure.
So, and there's just a little bit of like it's so cool, you know, like that's part of it for me with Persona. like Persona, it just is very cool, and that's why I think it takes it above in my head, because it's just like Splatoon as well. It's got it. I don't know. It feels different and more effortless to me than a lot of other things. So
I want to make sure that the definition of style is I believe, first of all, it's a kind of a, you know, it's a little bit of a loose definition, because there's the debate of, okay, is style something unique that nothing has ever really done it before and it pulls it off, or is it the quintessential peak of what it's trying to pull off, and finally all those elements came together? Because if that's the case, then I think Persona 5. But if it's something like I've never really seen before in a video game that's doing its own thing.
It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be like no one's ever attempted this.
I think it's more the second one, Matt.
It's like
I
a
think
cohesive thing.
If it's the second one, I'm leaning towards Persona 5. If it's something like I've never seen that before and this looks really good and I'm really impressed by it, it's Night in the Woods.
Right. Gotcha.
I think Persona wins this.
Okay.
Just from the strength of everyone's arguments.
All right. Are we all good? Persona winning? Winning? We're all good?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Like I said,
I'm fine with many of these games winning, honestly. They're all incredibly good-looking games.
Yeah, you could...
stylish games.
You could toss many coins in this category and, be happy with whatever. Like, they're all incredibly cool games.
Right, yeah, absolutely. All right. So, Persona 5 wins Best Style.
Persona 5's so goddamn good, it pulled that shit off on a PS3. That game came out on PS3.
I forgot it was on PS3.
Yeah, that's true.
I forgot it was on a PS3. All right. Okay, cool. Persona 5 wins. All right, moving on. Best Music. I can see Justin's little smiley face here next to Best Music on the Google Doc. So here's our... actually, Justin, you want to read our nominees for Best Music?
Sure. Nier Automata, Super Mario Odyssey, Night in the Woods, Persona 5, Destiny 2, Cuphead, Wolfenstein 2, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Sonic Mania.
These all have very good music. So this is going to be a killer one, I think. Justin, you read the category, so you decide who gets to make a cut first. Jesus.
Kelsey. Kelsey makes that face every time she has to decide something. It's amazing.
That's a thinking face. Leave her alone.
I'm not saying it's a bad face.
It's also great radio.
Well, if you were a Patreon, you could be seeing this face live.
Bobby, I'm trying to decide. Jesus.
Well, take your mental process and make it verbal. Okay.
It's because I get confused because I really like music in the background of games, so Night in the Woods, but then I'll really like music that has actual singing, and it's Persona 5, so I'm very, very confused.
I think this category, even more than the last one, is even more subjective because
because music is the most subjective thing in the world.
Yes,
but let's do it this way, because I think this is going to be the easier way to do it. Instead of saying a game that, Kelsey, you want to cut out of here, what game on here do you really want to make this list?
Well, I would say Night in the Woods again. I know it had simple music, but I think it was extremely effective in scenarios and feelings that they were trying to pull off and get you to feel at certain points in the game. And like I said, they were really good with where to place it, how loud and how low it should be. But at the same time, I know a game like Nier Automata uses music heavily, and that's the main aspect of a specific scene. So that's why I'm having difficulty.
I think look at it in terms of I think maybe even for me anyway, my thought process is remove the fact that it's in a video game and regard the music unto itself.
I mean, it's got to be a personal way you do it yourself, because that's a way to do it.
That's how I'm approaching it anyway.
Yeah, but it also exists in a video game made to complement that video game. So it doesn't have to. I mean, it can be a mix of the two, but it doesn't necessarily have to be I would listen to this outside of the game, right? It's if it works
almost all of these I would listen to outside.
I think separating those two is pointless because I think in a lot of these cases, especially with the games I'm familiar with, they work in both. You could listen to them outside, and you can listen to them in the game.
But I'll give you an example. Last year, Doom. I think Doom had amazing music. I would never listen to the Doom soundtrack outside of the game.
I listen to one track.
Because I don't listen to speed metal. So I would.
So good though.
It is very good, but it doesn't mean it's not as good for the game. So let's hear a little Night in the Woods. Let's hear a little Night in the Woods. How about that? This is the trailer. This is the trailer. Let's go to the title music, huh? It's very good. Let's see.
What about one of the band songs? Because that counts.
Yeah, it definitely counts.
Music is music.
Yeah. Actually, Die Anywhere Else? That's one of them, right? Yeah.
So if you've never played Night in the Woods, there's a rock band element to this because you're in a band, and this is one of the songs that plays, and there's lyrics to this that it like you don't.
Cutting out while you're playing this music.
So let's pause it while you
Okay, so in Night in the Woods, there's a rock band element to this game where you're in a band and you're doing band practice, and there's 4 different songs that come up, and then you start playing Rock Band. And Die Anywhere Else?
Die Anywhere Else, yeah.
Is the name of this song, but like there's lyrics to it that you read, but it's got like a catchy beat to it. So Bobby, why don't you play it?
Okay, yeah, here we go.
No, we're not hearing this, dude.
You're not hearing it?
It keeps cutting in and out.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cutting in and out.
That's weird.
We hear like 2 notes of it, then it cuts out.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Of course that happened. But anyway.
I could take a game off this list.
Okay, let's go ahead then.
Like, when I think of Wolfenstein 2, I remember nothing of its music. The only thing I remember is at the end of it, it has a terrible cover of a terrible song. And that game can pretty much go... The game's fine. That game's soundtrack can kind of go fuck itself a little bit.
I'm totally fine with getting rid of Wolfenstein. I think it's the outlier on this.
As soon as it ended and it played a screamo version of "We're Not Gonna Take It," I was a little bit like, I get it, and honestly, you're the only game that can even kind of make this work. But seriously, it was.
I forgot about that. I think I might have cut that out of my memory because it pissed me off.
Right,
it's a shame because there are other tracks in Wolfenstein, like the title card and when you are in the courtroom sequence, that are fantastic.
Okay, yeah.
But that ending song like absolutely ruins everything.
We're gonna cut it.
About it, yeah.
If we're gonna get through these categories in less than 6 days,
yeah, I know.
We can't spend 20 minutes talking about every song, every game that we cut.
Yeah,
Wolfenstein is done.
I actually passed.
Not gonna take it. Come on.
I actually passed that at the end of the song. Until that moment, couldn't even remember any of the Wolfenstein soundtrack. So that speaks volumes.
BJ says, he turns to Nazi lady and says, "If that's your best won't do." And I was like, they're gonna fucking play "We're Not Gonna Take It," aren't they? And yes,
and they did.
Sure enough, they sure did.
Coming soon, Tommy the video.
Don't get me wrong. Like the balls on that game, you know. But
yes, there's a whole category for that.
We're gonna talk Wolfenstein later. Okay, we want to talk Wolfenstein in music right now.
2017.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Let's get it.
I will make another cut.
Okay.
But I want to try playing one piece.
Like, we can try.
We could try, and you guys let me know if you could hear it.
Okay.
So I think Destiny 2 soundtrack is like head and shoulders above the first game. It's The Last City.
The Last City. Okay, I couldn't remember the name of that song.
There are moments of that soundtrack that like completely are incredible. When you go to the farm, some music during the raid. Near the end of or at the end of the game, after you return to the tower, which was a surprise, this song plays, and now the traveler is awakened, and there's hope in the air, and this weird song from Destiny, like, to me, just breathes hope, and so we're gonna play it, and hopefully it comes through. You guys let us know.
Yeah.
Is it by Paul McCartney?
No. Can you guys hear this?
Yes.
Well, we could.
Yeah, it's just cutting in and out. I don't know whether maybe it's like making it spike or something.
Yeah, I wonder that's what it's doing. Yeah, I think it's a Discord thing. I think it's fine on the recording, but I just think that
yeah,
best for like
making your mics
20 seconds. Add back 10 seconds. It's just it's a really beautiful piece.
Yeah, I like that piece of music is like so damn evocative, and I actually.
Yeah, go ahead, you.
That piece of music, I was like, Destiny 2 in the main, like I enjoyed it, but I found it a little bit underwhelming. But that's a different conversation for another time.
Yes. Let's just talk about the music.
that piece of music, I was walking around whistling that for weeks, like just kind of like like when I first started playing Overwatch, the sort of overture for Overwatch, that piece of music from Destiny like was properly stuck in my head for weeks. So yeah, that is a damn fine piece of music.
All right, Destiny 2 is going to get the axe. Boom.
I can kill one of my darlings.
Okay, go ahead.
Like I absolutely love Sonic Mania. I absolutely love Sonic Mania, and please, if anyone wants to support it to make sure that it doesn't cut off the list, I just don't want to. Look, if we're cutting things down, and I'm making an act of good faith here, because I will beat the drum for Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild way longer than I will for Sonic Mania. But fuck me, Sonic Mania soundtrack is stellar.
I agree. It is great.
Is there any way that we can make another attempt at playing music and play Studiopolis? Because
I can try.
Studiopolis is a very good soundtrack.
Can you play it through your phone and hold it up to your mic?
That'll sound terrible.
Yeah, but it'll work better.
I mean, it's better than what we've been hearing.
We'll give it another shot.
I'll give it another shot.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's Discord. I think I was making my mic back. I think Discord is just having trouble with the volumes. I think that's what it is. Because Matt, like when you get really loud, you cut out for me too. Sonic Mania Studiopolis.
Yeah.
Okay, Studiopolis is great music. So
especially the first 20 seconds.
So Justin and I will shut up while this plays.
It cut out, and if anything, it's even more heartbreaking.
It's really good.
It's really good. It's really good music.
It's really good.
Sorry, Sonic.
But I can put it to bed.
Okay. We're going to put it to bed.
Let's talk about Zelda.
Oh, man.
Okay, now I like The Legend of Zelda. I think Tarrytown's music is fantastic. I would visit Tarrytown just to hear that music play. But compared to some of the other games on this list, there's just not enough of it. There's not. The stuff that's there is really good. I could get behind you maybe with Odyssey.
Yeah, but it's not most music. It's best music.
I know, but when the other games have really, really good music and they dwarf the amount of music that Zelda has, Zelda has fantastic music. There's just not enough of it compared on this list.
Okay, all right. First, let's talk about expectations when it comes to Zelda. We expect gigantic, big, bombast soundtracks, and this one said no. Organic and aesthetic, and it just nails it. If you've ridden a horse at night in Zelda and heard the slow Hyrule theme play one note at a time on whatever kind of rickety old piano they had in that studio, oh my god, it's beautiful. Also,
the Lost Wood sounds really good.
Oh my god, yes, doesn't it?
It does.
Doesn't a lot of Zelda sound really, really good?
It does sound really, really good. And I like it all a lot. I just like the other things on this list more. If you want to say it gets into the top 5, we could talk, or what else is on this list?
A lot of really good soundtracks.
A lot of really good soundtracks.
I think, personally, and I'm going to probably get shot down for this, but the one, for me, that doesn't stand out above the rest of these is Nier.
What? You are fucking crazy.
I said what I fucking said.
Oh my god.
You are nuts. No. Nier is not
I said what I said.
They created a language for Nier. They created some weird language for some lady to sing.
But that's not the reason why.
J.R. Tolkien invented languages. Hey,
the music is amazing in Nier, just in general.
Sigur Rós make albums full of made-up language. You give me that.
We're not
shit.
talking about Sigur Rós. If you want Sigur Rós to win Best Music of the Year, Hugh, we could talk about it.
Cool, let's do it. Made-up language. Give me that.
I got no dog in this fight.
Oh my god.
No comment.
I'm not saying it's
you have
bad
many
music.
dogs in this fight, Matt. We're going to figure out who's going to be the top 5 here.
It's great music, but for me, I don't like. I prefer the music in those other games.
I would. I love the music in all of these games. it's very hard for me to like pick what I would cut. Matt's giving me a real evil eye right now.
Because I know where you're going.
No, you don't know. No.
Okay,
I mean,
okay. All right.
Honestly,
I think there's 3 locks here, possibly 4. I think for me, Nier, Cuphead, Odyssey, and possibly Persona are locks for this list.
I mean, I think Nier, Cuphead, and Mario are locks in general. I think those 3 games are locked in.
I think Cuphead, Mario, and Persona. 3 definites, yes.
I don't think I've ever met a person that does not like
We'll get there.
the Automata soundtrack.
We'll get there. Okay.
I didn't say I didn't like
I'm blown
it.
away. I'm just blown away because most people, if they take anything away from that game, it's the music.
We haven't had a classic Justin angry moment in a long
I'm not
time.
angry. I'm in disbelief, and the anger will come later.
What he's doing is taking what I said and then making up this false narrative around it, where I said I fucking despise the Nier Automata.
Hugh, there is a street, and you know what you should do with streets.
In
Let's say-
regard to the rest of the soundtracks on this list,
Hang on, I
Nier
want to know.
Automata isn't above those.
Okay, well, crazy opinions aside, Kelsey, what say you about anything?
Well, like, I don't know. I just feel like Nier kind of deserves to be there in a way. Like,
It deserves to be there in every way.
Yeah, like having not even played the game, even if I never listened to the soundtrack, like it was all people were talking about. And like it's a collective agreement, not just here, but in a lot of games journalism where Nier Automata probably had like the best soundtrack of the year, pretty much. I mean, the only other competitor I would say would be Persona 5 out of respected journalism. So I mean,
I
don't
think
think we
definitely
can
keep
pick
it on the
things
list.
on the basis of that, though.
no,
Like,
we can't
other
pick things up
people's
as other people
opinions,
think, but
no.
there's nothing
I
here in this
understand,
room.
but it's a general consensus. Like I think at a certain point, there's some games that like they deserve it. Like I listen to it,
Unfortunately,
so I know.
if we went with general consensus, Until Dawn would have never won Game of the Year. So I didn't have that battle with me. Like I
Let's
wish
move on.
we could take
We're
it.
not gonna redebate
How about
2015.
Okay.
Go ahead, Matt.
Since this is talking games, Game of the Year, where is the stuff that we all agree on?
Well, it seems like we all agree on Cuphead and Mario at the very least,
Yes.
right?
Whoa.
You don't think Cuphead has good music, Matt?
I think we've talked about like the whole like, okay, what stuff I'm going to listen to at a game, what stuff I'm going to listen out of the game, and like I mentioned that like a lot of this stuff I could do both. Look, I get it. Cuphead, ragtime music and jazz is great, but it's not something I am a huge fan of.
So we've got 2 people with 2 crazy opinions about 2 different games on this call.
But look, I can at
I'm
least
just teasing
say
you, Hugh. I'm just teasing you.
it
I'm gonna
really,
shut this shit down in a minute.
not only does it fit perfectly in that game, but it's some of the best ragtime and jazz music I've listened to, I guess.
But I think the jazz feeling of Cuphead is what adds to the personality of the game as well. Mm-hmm. And I think a way that music was kind of well integrated into the fun feel of the game. Like I feel like Cuphead's soundtrack adds to the game and is not just like a pleasant extra. Like
Yeah,
I think
and-
it really
Absolutely.
And also, a lot of those songs have lyrics which tell the stories of the levels while you're playing them as well. And I think for an original soundtrack to be written so well to work with the overall aesthetic of what that game does, and for it to be not like anything else out there, because you could argue some games can easily riff off, like Destiny's 2 soundtrack was fantastic, but it was like a better sounding Destiny 1, if you get me. It still sounded like Destiny, whereas Cuphead, it's like it stands out. Like it's unique. Like
Everything on this list stands
And it's
out.
also- and it's
Nier
also-
Automata to me sounds like a really good, like, having watched and like partaken in a lot of Japanese stuff down the years. To me, it just sounds like a really good soundtrack from something that's Japanese. And I think that to me, just like, it's just another one of those. And again, I'm not ragging on
That's
it.
fair.
It's brilliant
That's fair.
music. It's brilliant music. I want people to understand that, Justin and Bobby. But I just like Mario Odyssey to me, like I was walking around and still do sometimes going Odyssey, yes, see, and you know, there's moments in that game, but the music, I was just like a couple of times actual tears of joy. Like it was that, like it made me enjoy the game that bit much more.
No one's arguing that. I'm just trying to figure out what we can agree on that we can, so we know how many games we're actually talking about.
Well, let's think. What's the one game that we've not mentioned for a while? Is like
Night in the Woods.
Well, we haven't talked about Persona 5 at all as far as the music goes. Here's what I want to say. This is the list I'd be willing to deal with. Okay, for our 5 before we pick a winner. Okay. I would be fine with the top 5 being Cuphead, Mario Odyssey, Nier Automata, Zelda, and Night in the Woods. I love Persona, I love it, but I would be fine with that list
okay, I could do with that.
for a top 5.
Yeah, I could if I could make a concession, then I would have no issues with that.
Can we agree for that to be the top 5 at least?
I haven't put enough time into Persona to catch all the music.
The music is awesome. There is like 7,000 tracks, and they're not all amazing, right? So that's the only reason why I can sit here and go like, okay, like I can see, you know, just knocking it, and it can be the 6th best soundtrack of 2017. You know, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
It is. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Persona 5 soundtrack can kind of fit in a lot of other games.
That's, I guess,
Yeah.
but not really. I mean, you just said in the other discussion, Matt, you said I can't believe that they didn't compose the music before
Yeah,
they did the
you're
visuals
right.
because they tied
You're
so well
right.
together.
It does tie so well together. It's true. But if we're going exclusively on, and that was my argument mostly for style.
Yeah.
If we're going exclusively on music,
It's gone.
Okay,
It's gone.
all right.
We're done. Persona 5 is gone. We have
Okay.
the 5 we're going to decide on number 1 from Cuphead, Odyssey, Nier Automata, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, and Night in the Woods.
I got Breath of the Wild in the top 5, so that's all I cared about. All right.
There we go.
I like Breath of the Wild a lot.
I was always going to fight for it to be top 5.
Yeah,
Tarry Town is really good music.
Matt has some sort of like idea that like we're against him when it comes to Zelda, even though like most of us like
he's so for it
absolutely
that
were obsessed
everybody
with
else
it
is
when it
against
came out.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm just gonna really the two I'm deciding between for myself, and this is like everybody's getting beverages delivered to them.
Seriously. Let me call Ange. I'll have her do a Starbucks run for
That's
us.
my brother-in-law.
Kelsey got a nice like
Mine's
iced
a
coffee
smoothie.
or something.
No, it's a
smoothie. Oh, it's smoothie. Okay.
We're only an hour in.
I'm going.
We got a ways to go, guys.
I'm
Calm
going
down.
between
I'm hungry.
Nier Automata and Cuphead are my top 2.
Nier Automata and Odyssey are my top 2.
Really interesting.
I love Odyssey's
I
music.
love Odyssey too.
Odyssey has a bunch of like really differing sounds.
It does. It does.
Like Woody Kingdom, Bowser's Kingdom.
Yes.
They're all really good.
Bowser's
I
Kingdom
back
music-
up Odyssey too.
You-
I think it's my
You like
favorite.
Bowser's?
You know, I said I would say I love Bowser's music.
Okay.
I was going to say I love it. I think it's fantastic. Sorry, Kelsey, I missed what you said.
Now I have to put my sound back on. I back up Mario Odyssey.
Okay, all right, okay.
And you also inconvenienced Kelsey.
Yeah, sorry, you had to hit unmute Kelsey on your microphone while we're recording a podcast.
I for me, again, it is like so much of this fucking year's stuff is like just like cigarette paper between the two. I think for me, in terms of like obviously, from what I've said before, I adore the Cuphead soundtrack. But for me, in terms of just elevating the game and making something that was already incredibly joyful, and raising it that bit further, and like I said before, to the point of tears once or twice, I think Mario Odyssey, I think, is the number one for me.
I'm totally fine with Mario Odyssey winning. I'm totally fine with that.
It's
I think
the
a
only
great pick.
video game I've ever found the lyrics sheet is inside the case.
Yes.
Like, it's pretty fucking cool.
Like,
I just want to say two things for two of the games that I love that aren't going to win. I just want to speak of them for a second. Just really quick on Cuphead. One of the most impressive things to me about the Cuphead soundtrack is that I don't mind hearing it 7,000 times when I'm having to play those boss battles over and over and over and over again, which is super impressive to me.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that about everything else that Hugh said about the Cuphead soundtrack absolutely stands, and I don't want to repeat what he said. I just want to say a couple things about Nier Automata, because I have a lot of stuff to say about Nier Automata, and we will talk about it when we get into different categories here.
I have not conceded this category that Nier Automata is not winning.
But the music in Nier, I have a lot of problems with what Nier does. The music is not one of them. The music is amazing, and whether it feels like something that could have been in another Japanese thing someday, it doesn't really matter to me, because when I'm playing Nier, it is pushing me along so much. It is adding to the emotion. It is adding and drawing and kind of filling out that world in a lot of ways. And they have literally 2 versions of every single song in that game, which is...
So does Odyssey, though.
Okay, that's fine, but I'm just saying...
I agree with you. It's...
I'm not
the
saying,
amount of music is fantastic.
I didn't say over Odyssey. I'm just saying...
No, I'm just saying, yeah.
But
It's
with
wild
Odyssey,
that there's 2 games that do that.
But with Odyssey, there are set times where you switch over to that music. Like, in Nier, you can switch between that hacking minigame basically anywhere in that game at any moment, and it has a square wave version of every single song in that game.
There's also different versions of the actual music, not counting the retro music.
Yeah.
Like, you come back to the same place at different times, and because the mood has changed, the music has slightly changed as well.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, Automata's music is really good. Like, really, really good. Man.
But but saying that, I don't think that in this room right now there is the support for Nier to win.
Know.
So I think,
in the sake of time, I will not throw one of my fits.
It's not even a fit. I just think
I think the consensus wins.
One of the best parts of Mario Odyssey is when you unlock the ability to go to like your Mushroom Kingdom MP3 player and play whatever fucking song you want.
That's true. You can do that.
I love a good jukebox in a game.
Awesome. It's so good.
You're not going to hear me say a bad word about the Mario Odyssey soundtrack.
No.
I know.
I'm not going to say a bad word about it.
I'm not defending it at this point. I'm just singing its praises.
That's one thing Nintendo games do a lot, though, because they've got a similar thing in Splatoon as well. I don't know about ARMS, but you can definitely do it in Splatoon as well.
I'm totally fine with Mario Odyssey winning this category.
Okay.
It was your other one.
I know, but like...
Why are you so angry about it?
I'm not angry. It's just Automata's music is maybe...
It's amazing.
Out of the last couple of years, like my favorite soundtrack.
It's amazing. So Super Mario Odyssey is going to win our best music. I don't care about the votes, okay? I just know that there's not the support for it. Best music is Super Mario Odyssey. All right, best
Rightfully
character.
So.
Okay, this is going to be tough.
Yeah.
So Hugh, do you want to read down this giant list of names that we have?
Yes, we have Nines, Nier, To Be, Nier, May, A Night in the Woods, Aloy, Horizon Zero Dawn, Chloe Price, Life is Strange Before the Storm, Greg, Night in the Woods, BJ Blazkowicz, Wolfenstein 2, Pascal, Nier, Bayek and Aya from Assassin's Creed Origins, Amanda from Dream Daddy, and Cass from Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
So here's a question that I wanted to ask before we started this and forgot to. Normally, this is best new character.
Yeah, but we're doing best character.
We're gonna do best character, so even though
because I still think that like there are like someone like BJ Blazkowicz we deserve to be talked about in this like and he was a new character for the first time 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But who he is now compared to what he was then is like, it's like he's a new character.
Now he has
This game
character,
actually, this game actually made him a character. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah.
So there's a big difference there for me.
right,
I mean,
so-
most of these are new.
What if we do this? What if we take the characters from the games that have multiple nominees
Agreed.
and we talk about those first?
Yeah, I think that's fine. So
Okay.
let me try to move. I'm gonna move Pascal up so we can actually see like them next to each other. I think some of them got a little bit. So
Nier.
yeah, there we go. We got a few from Nier and a couple from Night in the Woods. And there are more from Night in the Woods that we could even nominate. I just picked these two because I like them so much. But
You didn't spend enough time with what's her name? Was it Bay?
no, B is awesome.
Yeah.
No, I love B. I just I put Greg over B just because that's what I would put. I did,
Okay.
it's not because I think that initially he's so much
I didn't know which
better.
way you went.
I think I spent all the time with both of them. Like I ended up, but I think I spent more time with B actually.
Okay.
'Cause I went to her house for dinner and
Oh,
found
yeah,
out
you
about
did.
her
Okay.
mom leaving or whatever. It was very.
All right, so
and I said all the wrong things.
we're talking about Night in the Woods,
Night
so
in
we
the
may as well
Woods.
go there.
Yeah. So let me just say something about May, which I feel like May is. It's very easy to look at May and say she's complaining, she's annoying, she makes the wrong decisions. But I think the game's bravery isn't the wrong word, but the game creating a character who is as flawed as most people are at that time in their lives is something that I think really works for what Night in the Woods is trying to do. Because Night in the Woods is essentially about the point in your life, no matter when it is, whether it's the life of a person or the life of this town or life of whatever, where you have a choice to make between kind of like what direction you're going to go in your life. And May has been making the wrong choices for a while, both because of just her bad judgment, but also because of, the real mental illness that she's dealing with. But this game is about her facing down the stuff that she'd been avoiding for so long and coming out the other side with the chance to be a better person. And they don't do the simple thing of being like, now May is just great. Like, now May is like, she's got everything figured out and everything's going to be fine from now on. At the end, she's like, I kind of understand now how I can start the process of making my life the way I want my life to be. And I thought that was a really impressive thing for the game to do.
I think, like, for me, May is one of the shoo-ins for, like, the top 5 in this. I just think in terms of, as you say, writing a character that, like, hits home and is so natural, because it's not done in an over-the-top way either. It feels like you could know somebody or you could be May, like, and as you said, Bobby, a big part of her character is sort of hitting that point in your life where you sort of, like, what I took away from that game is it's about deciding when in your life that you're gonna, like, mature and grow up. And it kind of, like, it resonated a lot with me, and I think with her character sort of being so, like, socially inept and, like, suffering with the anxieties of sort of, I guess, post-adolescence, you could say, because apparently the definition of adolescence has been moved, so now you're adolescent until you're 23. So I just think in terms of, Kelsey feels good because she doesn't feel so old now. You're 25, sunshine. Don't worry about it. Wait until you're in your mid-30s and your body aches. That's when shit gets real. But I just think, like, in terms of, like, she resonated with me because I connected with a lot of the way she is. I wouldn't say that, like, I've done, I can look at everything that happens to her and with her in the game and say, yeah, that was me. But I think the writing of that character and her journey is just so immaculately done. I think it was a really, really clever piece of writing with that character
Yeah.
alone in that game.
Absolutely. So that's my pitch. Oh,
wait.
go ahead, Kelsey.
I was gonna say we're also complimenting me a lot, but I think what makes me appreciate her is how annoying and like mean she could be.
Oh yeah,
Like,
she's a twat.
There's moments where she doesn't care what anyone thinks, and she just does it, and it's a part of her charm and kind of what makes you identify her, because like we're all annoying, like not you guys personally, but I'm saying in general.
I am.
For yourself, Kelsey.
I'm annoying.
But you're right. Like
But-
everybody goes through a
Yeah.
time in their life where they're like, "Fuck you, man! I know better than you."
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then you
Yeah.
can look I look back at times in my life now, and I just think, "Geez, I must have been insufferable back then."
Back then.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead, Justin.
Greg rules, okay?
Greg does rule, and he does this dance all the time. When he gets
That said,
excited.
I think Greg is a really good character that, he does that crazy thing where it's like, yeah, Greg rules, okay, but like, and then like 5 minutes later, it's like, well, I forget his boyfriend's
Angus.
name. Angus is like, yeah, like we're looking for an apartment, and like all of a sudden he becomes like he doesn't realize it, but he's being an adult, and May's like, I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
But he could still like slip into that. Hey, like we're gonna let's go break lights in the back of this thing. But also he has this thing where it's like, like, oh, like this is life. Like we have to deal with this that she
Yeah.
doesn't understand. All that being said, like I don't think that Greg is gonna hold up on this
Right,
list
yeah.
with some of these other characters.
I also think
I-
quickly go ahead, Kelsey.
Sorry, I was just gonna say like I don't think so either. Like I love Greg, but I think if we're gonna pick favorite character, I feel like someone who is really impactful, and I think May, like if we're comparing the two from Night in the Woods, like I feel like May was just so much more impactful, even though I
gotcha,
loved
yeah.
Greg.
Yeah, I will say too, if you end up going with, because at the end of the game you get like a choice of like 3 things that you can do or whatever, and you can go with Greg and break into that house, or you can go with B and do whatever, or you can go with Angus to the park. And if you go with Angus to the park, there's like a freaking amazing scene between him and May where he talks about his childhood and all this like crazy stuff that happened to him.
That game needs to be replayed.
We will talk about that game a lot more as well, but yeah, I agree. So we're gonna keep May from Night in the Woods. Nier, we have 3 characters on here from Nier.
I think only one of them makes it.
I agree with you. Pascal, 2B, and 9S. I think we're the two that finished Nier. Right?
Hugh,
Hugh played some of Nier, but he didn't. He kind of bounced off of it. Right?
Yeah, unfortunately, I just never clicked with it.
Yeah, no, I understand totally. I just want to make sure because I don't want to talk about these characters and then without giving you guys a chance if you guys had played. So
I would say 9S for me. The time I spent with that character, I think. I do think one of the big things in that game was it just annoyed me with how cheesecakey it was at times, and the fact that there's a trophy for looking up the skirt of the main character. That really rubbed me up the wrong way.
there's some stuff in that game for sure.
Yeah,
Again, we're gonna get into a lot of that stuff as we kind of debate down the game. But the tough thing about Nier is that like, unless you have completed it, the characters' arcs change so wildly that it's tough to talk about them from any earlier point in the game because they're so wildly different. I mean, to me, and Justin, this will be a Justin and Bobby conversation. Pascal would be the one that I would pick.
Pascal is the one.
Because Pascal is such a fascinating arc to me.
Yes.
So just so you guys know, Pascal is this robot. So there's quickly the setup of the world of Nier. Nier has androids that work for humans
Who live on the moon.
that are fighting robots who were created by aliens to take over Earth. So the androids, which are the equivalency of the humans, are going down to the Earth to fight these robots.
And the robots look like you could picture a child drawing a robot.
Like a tin can with a round helmet head.
Yeah, it looks like a bit like the Iron Giant.
Yes, there's a little bit of Iron Giant to it, yes. So you end up going to this one village, and you meet this character named Pascal, who is this pacifist robot who's separated from the network. Is it a
it's a hive mind.
From the network, and
in a way.
set up this peaceful colony where they're trying to avoid any battle or any contact.
To do that, though, in this game, when you die, because it's very meta, you get a new body. But you're a machine. If you're connected to the network, your consciousness is downloaded just into a new body. Death means nothing. To separate from the network is a way for them to really explore what does it mean to be human, which is what these machines are trying to do. And the androids are confused because they should be fighting the machines. The machines are like, no, we want to live peacefully. We've separated ourselves from the network. So if we die, we die.
Right.
And like it is a exploration of what it means to be mortal and ultimately what it means to be human.
Yeah. And there's this thing where happens where the network gets infected and the machines start going crazy and they kind of descend on Pascal's village and start to burn it. And Pascal has to make this choice whether or not he's going to fight back or let things happen. And the choice that Pascal has to make and the things that they have to do in order to get to where they are is truly heartbreaking.
Yes.
And there's a point where all Pascal wants to do is protect these children robots. I'm going to spoil the shit out of Nier right now, just so everyone knows. And they're kind of backed up into this warehouse and this bunker, and Pascal finally goes like, okay, that's it. Like, I'm going to fight back. Goes out to fight. You take down... It's like a wrecking machine. Once Sure decides he's going to fight, they go back into the warehouse where they were trying to protect these children robots, and all the children robots have killed themselves because Pascal taught them what fear was, so that they would know to keep themselves safe. But knowing what fear was, they were so scared they killed themselves. So Pascal now knows that they're to blame for what happened, and asks you to either destroy them or wipe this memory.
Yeah, like either he doesn't want to live with this knowledge, so either kill him or wipe him down to where he's not able to.
He doesn't remember what. Anyway, so,
and if you choose nothing, he gets very angry.
Yeah, but if you wipe his memory, you can go and see him again, and now he's selling
the parts
of the dead children robots because he doesn't remember that's who they were. It's an extremely heartbreaking character, amazing character. I think that is the one who deserves to be on the list.
Yes.
2B and 9S both have really interesting arcs, and I think 9S especially, once you're in the second playthrough, becomes much more interesting.
2B's death is actually the saddest I've ever been at a character's death.
Really?
In, I think, any game.
Interesting.
I didn't see it coming.
Okay. All right, so that's it for our Nier discussion. We're gonna take Pascal from our Nier choices. So left on this list we have Aloy, Chloe Price, BJ Blazkowicz, Bayek Anaya, Amanda, and Cass from Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Who wants to nominate a character to cut?
Yeah, I can get... okay, go ahead.
Okay, Kelsey, go ahead.
No, go Kelsey.
Go, Kelsey.
Okay, I was gonna say Amanda, just because I feel like out of what?
I'm laughing
Look
at
at Matt's face.
Look how sad he is. Keep going, make him sadder.
Just because like I loved her, and I think the relationship between her and her father was touching. I just think out of all the characters here, there's some I would prefer more on the list.
I agree. Like that game, like I think the best word to describe that game is sweet. Like I thoroughly, I didn't finish it, but I thoroughly enjoyed my time with that game. Like it's such a lovely game, and it plays in such a. He's cut himself. He's gone. He's crying.
I have my defense.
And the relationship between her and her father is lovely, but I just think that there's probably enough clout in the characters that are left to sort of overshadow her a bit. But Matt, rebuttal.
My thing with Amanda is she is the motivator of that video game, and I think she is a refreshing representation of a teenager, because she's very realistic as someone who is surrounded by these things every day. I find Amanda to be, it's so hard to capture teenagers, because you either go down the I think this is cool route when writing them, or you go down the they're just teenagers are just always sad and they're victims and all this stuff. And while I think it is important to try to make some stories with teenagers that does show that teenagers go through some pretty horrible shit, it is refreshing to see a teenager that's just a good kid that that you just want to support and help, and she's endearing. Every time she says "Dad" and bites her tongue, it's like, this is the best fucking game of all time.
Dad.
Like, I love it so much.
The subtitle for it is brilliant.
I get it, but I think Amanda is a very strong character, especially in presenting what... Because it's one of those cases of, like, if that didn't work, that game doesn't work. And it's why I will go to bat for Amanda. I like Kaz. If we need to sacrifice something,
I was gonna say let's cut the one that's not actually a character.
He's not very well fleshed out.
He's a good design. I think he's cool because that game is all about Link trying to remember his past and figure out all the stuff that's happened like 100 years ago. And Kaz is like he's a bit of a historian, and I don't know. I think he's a very interesting character. Like, whenever he shows up, you're always kind of like, okay, like, what kind of weird accordion riddle do you have for me this time, parrot with an accordion? But character, sure, not much.
Okay, so we're cutting him. Give me a reason why Bayek and Aya. Also, I don't really love that there's two characters put in one spot.
They
here.
have to be.
But that doesn't make sense to me.
No,
they're two different characters.
But when you play the game fully, it's really not. It's the both of them together.
But that means that one of them is not a great character then. If you have to put them both together to
all right,
get
fine.
them.
Then you want to do it? We'll just say it's Bayek. We'll just say it's Bayek.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, it's tough to say these are one character. That'd be like saying 2B and 9S are one character because you can't do the game without both of them. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, of course their stories are intrinsic to one another, but
like, it's weird. Like, if you play it, it's like it.
I understand what you're saying, Justin, like, having played that game, but I also do agree with Bobby that this is best character, but like best relationship. So I think.
All right, so
just Bayek then.
Just fine. You want to do just Bayek?
Yeah.
Okay. So you are Bayek, you are a magi, which means you are a cop, and your son is killed by your hand. Which I did not see coming. And it was an accident, and you didn't mean for it to happen, but, he swears revenge and blah, 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 blah. But the interesting part about AC Origins and Bayek in general is the way that his temperament towards everything after that happens is rage at times, but when he needs to be, he's something more. Like, you would think seeing other children would make him solemn, but, like, there's a joy to him when he's around other children that you can sense that he really did care. Like, I mean, of course he cared about his son, but, like, there is this man loves children and, like, loves being around children and was an excellent father. The part that, like, blows me away about it is, like, the further that story progresses, you feel like Bayek and Aya are going to come closer together, but at the end, they're on such different paths. It's almost that, like, where the death of a child rips people apart. Like, Bayek doesn't want that, and Aya does. And, like, that's why I originally put them down together as, like, best characters. Like, I could have nominated them both, but they fit so well together. Bayek at the end realizes that he's completely lost everything, and he needs to, like, dedicate his life to this brotherhood that is forming, hence the name Origins. But, like, just in the 50 hours I spent with Bayek, like, he's one of my favorite protagonists I've ever played in any open world game, but I would go as far to say is, like, one of my favorite protagonists ever. His gradual shift from the hopeful, I miss my wife, I want to be with my wife, we're going to get past this, to understanding, like, she's not coming back. Mm-hmm. And just the way he cares about other people. There's, like, a really tragic thing that happens to another kid in the game, which you don't see coming. You're like, they're not going to kill this kid. Oh, wow, they really killed the kid. And the way that he helps that family deal with that, knowing the loss of his son, like, I don't know, it was it was moving in a way.
Yeah,
I wish I could. I wish I could have the both of them together.
His story is like incredibly moving. Like there's like in terms of like tragic heroes in video games, I think he's up there with like one of the standouts that I've ever come across.
So is this list? Let me ask you: is this list Pascal, May, Bayek, Aloy, and BJ?
I don't know. I don't think to me BJ was such like a weird inclusion on this list.
That's fine. I'm unwilling to cut him. I'm trying to. We have to move these categories along faster. We've done 3 categories and it's been an hour and a half, so we've got to like move a little bit.
If anyone wants to defend BJ,
No.
I'm fine. No, I'm good with cutting BJ. I think they did a really good job creating him as a good character. I don't think he belongs on this list, so he's getting cut.
He might be the hero we need now.
Yes, he might be. He's very good at killing Nazis.
And I do like his relationship with, I can't remember her name, but his like wife, his partner.
Sure.
His relationship with her is cool.
All right, so
she was nominated for best character the last time we did characters.
Anya.
Anya. Anya.
Pascal, May, Bayek, Aloy, and Chloe. Who's our 5th? I think the top 4 are pretty.
We haven't even talked about Aloy. We haven't talked about a few of them.
Which we can.
Aloy's a shoe-in for me. That's why I haven't mentioned her. I think, like for me, Aloy is the number 1 on this list.
Really? That's nuts. But let's keep going.
No,
let's figure out what the 5 is before we get this. We have to get rid of either Chloe Price or Amanda from Dream Daddy.
I have no dog in this fight since
Chloe
I haven't spent
stays.
time with either of them.
I love Amanda.
No, Matt. Chloe stays. I like Amanda too.
You two have an argument about this.
Yeah.
I like Amanda too, but I think Chloe's. Did you play it?
It's the only thing that no, I know.
Okay, did you play the first Life is Strange?
No.
But it's because this game dives deeper into Chloe's character that like gives a greater emphasis on who she is as a person. Like she's been through so much, and like watching her grow even over the course of this game. I'm not even considering before the first Life is Strange. Like her personality adjusts, and like she goes from being two different characters. Like it's insane. I don't know. It could be that I relate to her a lot, and that's why I'm like extremely devoted to her. But I think there's parts of Before the Storm of Chloe that you didn't really get to see in the first game, and like you see how compassionate and sweet she is, and she's witty, and she's charming, and she's awkward. Like I think she's a good like ensemble.
So what you're saying is we just keep both teenagers and get rid of Bayek. I get that. Okay.
No, Bayek is staying, absolutely.
Bayek is really good. Like, I don't like Assassin's Creed, but Bayek alone sold me on the game.
Yeah, I agree. His story in that game is fantastic.
I mean, I played both Life is Strange and Dream Daddy. I think that Amanda's character is very good, and I think she is a very good representation of a modern teenager, and I think that she is the heart of that game in many ways. And I think relationship with her dad, it feels very realistic, and the writing in Dream Daddy is fantastic. But if I'm going to talk, this is how I rank things in my head. The journey that Chloe goes on is much more of a journey than what Amanda goes on, and that's the only reason why for me.
And I can concede.
Okay.
But she is, oh gosh, she's just such a good kid.
She's wonderful. And Dream Daddy in general is a wonderfully written game with wonderful characters.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
All right, so we're going to cut Amanda. All right.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm sorry. So we've got Pascal from Nier, May from Night in the Woods, Bayek from AC Origins, Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, and Chloe Price from Life is Strange Before the Storm. The only character we really haven't talked about yet is Aloy in any sort of group. I know that, Hugh, you're very passionate about her. So why don't you tell us quickly why you think Aloy should win, and then we're going to figure out who wins this category.
Again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but again, for me, it was kind of like a toss-up between May and Aloy. But I just think that in terms of like a big AAA game finally doing something in terms of putting a female character in front of you that isn't underdressed, like overly sexualized in sort of how she looks and how she is, and just giving her tons of agency as well as giving her a really, really good story arc. I think she is like a landmark character in video games. Like, I think that it overly
Tell me about this.
simplifies.
Let me ask you a question, Hugh. Let me ask you a question about her character, because I really want to know, because I did not finish Horizon. What about like the journey the character goes on, not just like from point A to point B, but like emotionally and all that kind of stuff? What sets that apart for you?
Well, I mean, the whole game.
You can spoil anything.
The
so
one
it's totally
issue,
fine.
the one issue for me with Horizon Zero Dawn, and I think it's probably what cost a lot of people playing the game to conclusion, is the fact that game's story is back end heavy. Like, it starts off interesting, and it's about this girl who is just trying to understand her place in the world. Like, she's an outcast from society. She manages to work her way back into being like a part of a tribe. And she obviously has some sort of greater importance to the world. And like, and she's just such a like gutsy character. Like, she comes up against like people who will tell her like, no, you can't do this, and she's just like, yeah, I'm gonna do the thing. I'm still gonna fucking, like, I will do this. And you progress through the game and you start getting hints about like what happened in the past, and like what her importance is to the world. And eventually you find out that there was like a cataclysmic event, and she is a clone of the lady who was working to stop this event from happening. And like I said, in terms of just giving her like a really good story arc, and it's a shame they pushed it to the back of the game, and making her go from being a nobody to arguably she could become like the single most important person on the planet. I think it was like a really, really sort of not well paced, but well done story in terms of like bringing her from being an ostracized sort of outcast. People would quite literally spit on her, to being sort of quite possibly the savior of the world type thing.
Okay, cool. I'm not going to blame the character for the pacing of the story. So
no,
that's a good defense and a good play for Aloy. Sorry, Matt.
I think it's also been mentioned that Ashley Birch's performance is probably one of the best motion capture performances in video games.
Yes,
Ashley Birch is a fantastic voice actress. I wish that she still voiced Chloe Price in the Life is Strange Before the Storm.
She has cool hair.
She very cool hair. For me, my winner in this category would be May, but from what Justin and Hugh said about Bayek, I could be okay with Bayek winning as well. That's where I am on this.
In all honesty, May, Bayek, Aloy, I could give a solid argument for any of those three characters.
Where are you, Justin?
Mine would be Pascal.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I love Pascal. I'm just
that story is just so unbelievably heart-wrenching.
It is. I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
More so than like any other thing I played this year. Like a goddamn game about robots has made me emotional on so many different levels. Pascal's just that point where he's basically begging you to kill him because he taught children fear, and the children took that fear and killed themselves. Like, it's just like, Jesus Christ. Like, you're not supposed to, like, I didn't know I could feel this way about a game. I love Bayek. So, like, those would be my top two, would be Bayek and Pascal. I could also see an argument for May. I didn't love spending time with May because it was frustrating to play as her for most of the game, where you're like, Jesus, like, come on, like, with May, like, they don't give you something. Sometimes they give you no good answer.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about it, though, is that there is no good answer.
There's no good answer, and that's, but like, like at times it's like, yes, I understand what you're telling me, but this is also frustrating because like, she's a shitbag sometimes, and I enjoyed spending time with characters who weren't.
Right.
But I understand the path of May. I can't like, I only played Life is Strange. I didn't play Before the Storm, so I can't speak much to Chloe there. And Aloy, I think Aloy's story is really good. I don't think it's as amazing as some of the other people on this list. My two choices would be Bayek and Pascal. So take that as you will.
Okay. Where is there, Matt? Where are you?
At this point, I guess May.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I think Aloy, once again, like I said, strong performance, and I think that you know, seeing as we don't really cover that in our categories, I think this might be the closest where that might be a contributing factor, and so that's. But that, like I said, you know, I feel a little uncomfortable because I got nothing for
right. That's fine. No, that's fine.
But
that's
May
fine.
and Aloy is probably where I'm at now.
Kelsey, where are you right now? I'm guessing May or Chloe.
Well, yeah, because they're the two that I've played, so I would pick May over Chloe. But like hearing Bayek and Pascal's story, like I almost cried, and so I know that I would have cried had I played them. So I mean May, I guess, because that's my only basis. But like Pascal's story time, like I know I would have cried. You know what I mean? So like had I played it and had I cried, I would have voted for that because I know myself.
I gotcha. No, and that's very fair. I totally understand that. Yeah, I mean, like for me, it's probably May or Pascal, honestly. But I don't know. I mean, I'm okay with Bayek winning, even though I don't have a ton of knowledge about him, just because of, and I think that we can probably get there a little easier as far as a group goes with Bayek. But I do agree with you. I think Pascal's story is the most effective and the most impressive of any of these. I mean, would there be a huge fight to Pascal winning, or is that a lost cause?
I not really know, because I know his, like, I've read into what happens in Nier, and like I think in terms of like impactful storytelling, his story is like would be like if I had physically played that, as probably much the same as Kelsey, it would have that would have broken me. So yeah, any 5 of these characters could easily take the win here. So I honestly would not. I wouldn't put up an argument whoever wins, but Pascal's story does sound like it was an incredibly effective piece of writing.
Okay, so I'm going to crown Pascal the winner here from Nier Automata.
Is it too late to add Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yes.
It is too late, yeah.
Princess Zelda.
Dr. Eggman. Best moment or sequence. Why don't you read out the nominees, Justin?
Okie doke. So, walking into the amusement park section in Nier Automata, auditioning on Venus, Wolfenstein 2, the first post-game world from Super Mario Odyssey, the opening half hour, Prey, the Phantom Boss, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, losing your head, Wolfenstein 2, start of Route C, Nier Automata, coming back to the tower in Destiny 2, the King Dice boss fight from Cuphead, the New Donk City final scene from Super Mario Odyssey, that conversation from Emily is Away 2, walking out of the tomb from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Did You Hear Something from PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, finding out about your father from Uncharted The Lost Legacy, the Cuttery sequence from What Remains of Edith Finch, the Brag Battle from Dream Daddy, the melee counter from Metroid Samus Returns, and what is it? I clicked off of it. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Beam Machine from Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a list.
That's a really good moment, by the way.
It's fucking great.
This is a list. I am going to cut something right off the bat.
Okay, which one are you going to cut?
I'm going to cut Coming Back to the Tower from Destiny 2.
Okay, I'm okay with that. It's a good moment.
It's a very good moment. Did not see coming.
Yeah, very
that
good
song,
moment.
The Last City plays.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's a good moment. It's a very good moment.
As a Zelda guy, I can get rid of Walking Out of the Tomb, unless there's some very...
It was tough. It was tough to pick a moment from Zelda. I put that on there.
Yeah.
Because that's the moment you first like walk out and you see the world in front of you.
Sure.
It's tough because Zelda's such a game built of like
Small
emergent moments. You know, it's like, oh, I did this, or when I was kind of climbing up this wall and it started raining and I fell and I landed on top of a lionel and they chased me and I ended up like picking up a barrel and slamming it in the head and or whatever, like that kind of stuff. So I agree with you though. I wanted to be on there in some way, but yeah, we can
disagree.
Cut Walking Out of the Tomb.
What are we talking about?
Talking about cutting the Walking Out of the Tomb for the first time in Legend of Zelda from Moment.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we can cut that. I would say just quickly, for you, Justin, your near moment, was it the beginning of Route C or is it the amusement park that's like the standout for you?
The beginning of Route C.
Okay, so we'll cut this amusement park. The amusement park part is awesome because it's the first moment where you're like, there's a lot of robots here and they're not attacking me. What the hell is going on?
Fireworks going off. And
Yeah. It's a really cool moment.
Plays.
It's a really cool moment. But I'm going to cut that. It got cut already. Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Does anybody anything else they think they can get cut off this list? Whether it's one of your darlings.
If we want to like keep it to, which I know it doesn't necessarily have to be, one moment per game, but I'm looking at Mario Odyssey and the first post-game world, which if we're spoiling, it's the Mushroom Kingdom, right?
Yes, from Mario 6, and there's the Mario 64 sequence and everything in it. Yeah.
Which is fucking great.
Yeah. But it doesn't match up to the other one.
No,
it doesn't match up to the other one at all.
And plus, you could spoil yourself on it like I did.
Yeah.
I went to the Mushroom Kingdom before the end of the game. So that was its shine was taken away.
We'll cut that out.
I
think we can cut the melee. Sorry, you go ahead. No,
That's what I was going to say. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's very
cool.
satisfying.
It's very
not
satisfying.
Yeah.
I love that, being able to do that in a Metroid game. It was
Right.
super cool.
It's very cool.
I don't know if it's definitely a moment. I put that one on there just because
it's
feels,
a very good mechanic.
Like, I very rarely do you press a button and you just feel fucking amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And when you get like the upgraded blaster or whatever, a cannon, like you do it once and you like just shred them immediately with one shot. It feels very good. Agreed.
The Phantom boss for Mario Rabbids is fantastic. Probably one of the best boss battles of the year by far.
Is that the one with like the singer?
It's the singer, and he's dissing on Mario the whole time he's singing.
That's very cool. Yeah.
It's very good.
I think that is a possible, like, for the
I don't want to get rid of that one yet.
Okay, we don't have to get rid of it yet.
Okay, then I'm looking at some of the ones that I added, seeing what I could take off.
Yeah.
I haven't played Prey, so I can't really stump for that. So not that I'm saying it should be cut. I just say
it's a really good opening half hour.
The opening half hour of Prey is a mind trip. Basically, you start Prey and you wake up in bed and you like go around your apartment and you can pick stuff up, and then you get picked up and you fly in a helicopter while this amazing song plays to this building where your brother is waiting for you. You're going to be going into space to this space station. And it's this like long drawn out sequence, and then you're in this place with your brother and these aliens attack. And then you wake up back in bed and you go out and you're like, the hallway is slightly different and you have no idea what to do. And then randomly you will like just over the course of however long it takes you. I tried to open up going outside because there's this like beautiful view of San Francisco where you are, and I accidentally threw this thing I was holding at the window, and you find out the window shatters and you realize you've been in a simulation.
Yeah, it's like a computer screen.
It's a computer screen and you've been being watched the whole time.
Oh, that's cool.
And you don't know it's coming, and it was like you step out and you're like, this apartment that I've been living in for how long, people have been watching me. Like none of what I've seen is real. And it makes you doubt everything that you see moving forward, which is pretty cool.
It is very cool.
Justin, please report to the diary room.
It went to sleep. Yeah, but we can cut it. It's incredibly affecting. You could play the demo of it for free.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I
really
really
good,
want to
but-
play that game. It's just one of those ones that kind of got lost in the wash last year.
Yeah. There were so many stuff. So we're good with cutting it.
Yeah, we can cut it.
Okay, cool.
What are we exactly referring to, just for clarity, with the PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds moment?
It's that moment where you're like you've been looting for a while, and
right, okay.
and like you're all of a sudden you hear like, did I hear footsteps? You know, like that kind of thing.
I thought it was maybe like one of the times. I thought it was like referring to one of the times when Meg's killed
Meg shot
somebody
me.
or something.
No,
Yeah.
no, not one of those times. But that's it. I mean, either that or winning a chicken dinner, which I think is the other huge thing. I'm okay losing it from a list here. It was something about your outlook or something.
For me-
I wanted to make
for
sure the
me-
battery was running.
Yeah.
As a PUBG moment, I think winning the chicken dinner is like probably
Surpasses
should
that.
be in
Yeah,
there.
I mean, I can change that to winning a chicken dinner.
Yeah.
But even still, I don't know if I would put it as best
know,
moment of
I don't
sequence.
know.
I,
No,
it's
no, no,
really
I'm
good.
saying-
Can we
I'm-
just cut it? Can we just cut it?
Shut
No.
up, Kelsey.
Fed up of PUBG.
Well,
You
too
haven't
bad.
played it.
When it wins Game of the Year, you're gonna be really upset.
I'm not
Rid of
saying
Liz-
I'm not saying that a PUBG moment should be top 5. I'm just saying if a PUBG moment is on this list, it should be
It's that. It should
Yeah.
be winning a chicken dinner.
winning that the first time you win a game of PUBG. Like, I literally got up out of my chair and it was about 1 a.m. and I got up the next morning. My mum was like, "What the fuck were you doing last night?" And I was just
I
like,
yelled quite loudly.
Yeah, and I will say that like there is maybe no achievement I've enjoyed more in a video game ever in my life than finally winning that chicken dinner. Like it is a supremely satisfying moment. It's like it's like beating a Souls game. You know, that's what it feels like to me.
but I don't. I would say
But I'm willing to understand that, like, yes, it's a great moment, but it is a moment that is it's not guaranteed to you.
Yeah, some
if you
people may
play the
never see it.
game, you know, and your miles are going to vary. So as much as I believe, like for me, it's like my favorite moment of the year, I'm willing to cut it from this conversation because
me too.
there are structured sequences on here that I love so much that I want to make sure they get honored. So I'm willing to cut that.
I hate doing this, but did we get rid of losing your head?
No, we didn't. But we can talk about that. There's two moments from Wolfenstein
I'm not
on this
seeing it on the
list.
list.
it's not on the list.
It must have got cut by accident.
Oh,
Okay, because that's a fucking crazy ass moment.
I would
It
say,
is,
though,
but
if
is it
we're gonna
more
have-
crazy than the Venus sequence? Come
Yeah,
on.
exactly. I would
they're
say,
both solid. That's why, like, it's
They're
I
both
think
very
that's the
solid.
debate.
I agree with you.
but I think in terms of that game going right, we're gonna fucking send you into space to go on Venus because you're gonna be in a film, and Adolf Hitler is gonna be auditioning you, and he's gonna like be this gross, disgusting old man as well as being, you know, a fucking crazy dude anyway.
Yeah.
And the way that whole scene plays out, it's just absolutely insane.
When you're reading the lines on your hand,
yeah.
and it's
And they're blurred out.
fucking good.
It's really good. And not only are you auditioning for a movie, you're auditioning for a movie to play yourself,
yeah.
disguised as a movie star,
wearing
And that
Matt's
BJ
mustache.
is-
wearing Matt's mustache. Yeah.
BJ is so goddamn bad at acting. It's just like
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah. And
death
I
to
thi-
all German children.
I think that scene kind of like you could probably play that one scene in that game and say that like this moment encapsulates everything that Wolfenstein 2 does
That's a lock,
so
right?
well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
The audition
and
scene's a
Hitler
lot.
shoots Ronald Reagan.
It's true.
He does.
Like that game is it's crazy.
We
It's-
could technically just copy Giant Bomb and make it an entire list of moments of
it's-
Wolfenstein.
Because they're
Maybe it was Hitler that did actually try to shoot Robert Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. His little known brother Robert Reagan.
Hashtag not my president.
Here's the thing. I think auditioning on Venus is a lock, and I think the New Donk City
New Dunk
sequence
without
is
doubt.
Yes.
a lock for sure. Those two things are a freaking lock. I think we can all agree on those 100%.
I would stump quite heavily for the cuttery scene in Edith
Yes,
Finch.
I totally agree with you. I think
agree.
that scene in Edith Finch is amazing. I don't know
That-
if Matt and Kelsey, do you guys either of you play Edith Finch?
I did not know.
You didn't.
Okay.
Okay. So there's a scene in Edith Finch where the idea of Edith Finch, right, is that you're going through this house that you grew up in and seeing like the tragic ends of your obviously cursed family, and you're like playing through little vignettes of each one. And there's one where you're playing as it's her brother, right?
Yes.
It's her brother, who works at this like fish cannery, and basically all he does all day is just like chop fish heads all day. He takes fish heads off a conveyor belt, chops their heads off, throws them down, and it's something he can do with like one hand. And you're doing it for a while, but then you're hearing this story about how he daydreamed about this world that he was living in, and you start to see that world start to form on the other part of your screen. And at first, it's simple, like very simple, like basic art, and you're controlling him with the one stick and doing the other thing with the other stick. And then it gets more and more complicated and more complicated, and all of a sudden, like, you know, he's developed this whole world in his head where, you know, he's the hero of this world, and they're gonna knight him and make him like this all important person. And it's all very fish themed. And as you're going through, like, the part of your life that like is real is fading kind of away. You can barely see it anymore, and the other part is like taking it over. And I think you whole time you think like, oh, he's gonna cut his hand off or something, and something's gonna happen horribly. But then what ends up happening is he ends up intentionally, like, because he gets so lost in this world, and he's gonna get knighted, and he's gonna lay down on this thing, and it's gonna knight him. It ends up being in real world he's laying down, you know, on this like chopping block, and he's gonna let himself get killed in the real world so he can be in this fantasy world forever.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is told like through letters from your his psychiatrist.
Yeah,
and
it's one of those
such
moments that you can't do in anything but a video game.
Yeah, it's so. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. It's just like such a like I think one thing this year that we've seen is a few video games that do very good sort of analyses of mental illness and to a certain extent like psychosis. And that moment in that game of like someone who's suffering with a mental illness and who's doing something that's so unbelievably mundane, where all they're doing all day is just putting a fish underneath this thing, cutting its head off, sweeping it to one side, and it's just this din of the machinery, and they just like their mind just takes over from what their body is doing and stuff like that. And it's like I know people who have had who have mental illnesses who have struggled with like disassociating themselves from their reality in that way. And I think in terms of representing that that facet of mental illness, it just does such a brilliant job. And like you say, you don't see it coming, and the way it plays out with you, as you mentioned, sort of doing one thing with one stick and one thing with the other, and the way the worlds gradually blend in together. Like I was just like, that game as a whole, I loved it. But that moment in particular was just absolutely like, it blew me away. It really did.
Agreed, absolutely. So I'm going to talk about something, and then we're going to cut it. All right. The conversation in Emily is Away 2, I think.
It's very good.
It's very good. So Emily is Away games, they're basically all in AIM windows, right? And so you're having AIM conversations with people. The second one takes it to a more complicated place. Now you're kind of talking to two people. And there's one point in the game where there's basically in the game you have to pick a response, and then you just like clack on the keyboard and it types out whatever that response is, but you don't have to actually type it out. So, but it's like you have to actually go through the act of typing. And most of the time you have all the time in the world to choose between what you're going to say to this person and that person. But then at one point in the game, there's a timer that starts happening. And like you have to switch between the chat windows and answer them as they go. And they're both talking about very like intense or serious things like relationship stuff or whatever. And if you fail to answer one of them on time or write a response that doesn't make any sense back to them because you're going so fast, like one of them will you'll basically not fail out, but they'll be like, I'm sorry, are you too busy for me right now? And they'll begin to like, you'll kind of lose that thread of that conversation. And in a lot of ways, it will almost end your relationship with that other person. And it just felt so realistic to the time where I was like managing most of my social relationships via instant messenger, and those like really those intense nights you'd have on those services where everything felt so vital and so important, and it just felt so real, and it was amazing. And it's so stressful. It's so stressful because once you realize there's a timer, you're like, oh my God. And you're like rolling back and forth, going back and forth. And I lost because I just did something that made no sense to one of them. Like I just like hit a button and started clacking the keys. And I was like, oh, damn it. And then they were like, what does that mean? Why would you say that? It doesn't make any sense. And it was a great moment. Those games are really interesting and fun. And I think speak to a very real time and place, but I'm going to cut it because I think there's like amazing things on this list that deserve to be there. I don't think this is going to cut it, but I just want to say it was amazing, but we can cut it.
I agree.
The
I
start
played
of
that game
Route
for Extra Life and I loved it.
Yeah, it's great. Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
the start of Route C is really good. It's the third time you're gonna sort of what you think is like replay near. You realize like, oh wow, my character is in battle armor and we are falling to the earth to fight these rampant machines. Like it is a holy crap, like here we go moment. But it doesn't have to be on this list.
Okay. All right. Does anybody want to nominate something to cut here?
I mean, I still think Phantom Boss should go. I put that on there, and it doesn't hit me the same way that some of these other ones do.
It's funny. It's really funny.
It is good. But I agree. I think in terms of like moments that have clout and like have good writing behind them, I don't think that one can really cut the mustard.
I cut it.
Let me talk for a second about the King Dice boss fight, because I think I'm the only person to have actually seen it. So King Dice is the second in command behind the devil, and he is the second to last boss. And this whole thing is about a casino, right? So most of the boss battles are all like one note. Like, yeah, they change form 2-3 times, but they're all one thing. So King Dice comes in, and you're sitting at a craps table, and there will be a spinning dice, and you have to jump and hit the dice to move forward. You only have the amount of hearts that you currently have to get through the whole thing. And randomly, if you land on a board with a heart, you'll get a heart, but have to do a battle. And instead of 3 forms, he has 10. And if you're bad at rolling the dice, you'll have to do 10 battles. And they're shorter, and they only have 1 form, but they all circle around this casino theme. So you might be fighting a cigar or drinks or chips or things like that. And every now and then you will land on a free space where you don't have to have a battle. You get to the end of the board and you're like, I made it, that's it. And then you have to actually fight him. It's one of the few games this year that I've messaged Bobby past midnight and said, I have to talk to you about this thing that I just did. Like, I'm going to spoil it. Like, you have to hear about it. It's in a game of like incredible boss fights and sequences, and I can't believe I'm fighting this thing. This one blows them all away. I don't know if it'll resonate with you guys, like if you haven't seen it, but it's really incredible.
I have seen it. I've watched. There's a speedrunner who goes by the name of, I think, just the Mexican Runner, and I've watched him play it. And like, as someone who loves Cuphead, but I have to admit, I got to the point where I found it so hard I had to put it down. And like, I go back to it now and then and sort of progress here and there, but I'm not like, eventually I will hit the end of it. But that, in terms of taking the old school boss fight formula, which is what the game does anyway, it takes the old school boss fight formula and sort of just goes nuts with it. That just takes the baton and just runs out of sight and just keeps going. Like, it's insane. So I would quite happily have that end up in the top 5.
Can I ask, is anybody gonna fight really hard for either the Uncharted moment or the Dream Daddy moment?
I will say my piece about the Dream Daddy moment. I think it's a demonstration. I put that on the list. I think it's a demonstration of how strong the writing is in that game. It's also so unexpected. It turns into a Pokemon game, and the options are. It pulls up that menu from like red and blue, and like some of the options whenever you attack, it's like oh well, Amanda, still uses film in her camera. And, the other dad will rebuttal and say things like, oh, well, my daughter sold the most candy bars this year. And it's just, I think it's funny. I like when you go to, like, the option where you would normally switch out your Pokemon. It just basically says, Amanda's your only daughter.
That's like the burly dad, right? That
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That is a good one. Yeah, I remember that. Yes, that is good. That is good.
It is one of my most memorable moments from Dream Daddy, and I think I will if no one else feels strong about it, I get it, but I just wanted to make sure that it got its nod.
Okay.
It's fair.
I really like the sequence in The Lost Legacy where you find out that your father was at that tomb, and has trying to actively keep you from it.
Yeah.
I think that's like one of my favorite moments of the Uncharted series, if not my favorite moment.
Okay.
But I don't have to go super hard for it.
Okay. Are we okay? This is our list then, and I think it's a pretty good one. Auditioning on Venus from Wolfenstein 2, New Donk City final scene from Super Mario Odyssey, The Cannery from What Remains of Edith Finch, King Dice boss fight from Cuphead, and Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine from Sonic Mania.
I'm fine with that list.
Yep.
It's a good list, and we can sit here and spend 30 minutes talking about it, but the scene from Mario Odyssey wins.
Agreed.
Yes.
New Donk.
Yes.
All the fucking way. That scene made me cry.
The scene from Mario Odyssey
Tears of
wins.
joy.
You're auditioning to Hitler on
It's
Venus.
great sequence, but that
right.
sequence in Mario Odyssey, both from a gameplay and music perspective, is so enriching and like joyful and
Yeah. To me, that scene in New Donk City is everything that I play video games for. Like, it's nostalgic. Okay, that only applies to a certain audience.
people who played Mario. Like, it's a pretty large audience.
Specifically, like, because it's like, it goes back to like 2D old school Mario, and I know that is a retro game that a lot of people, even younger than us, go back to and play. But I just think in terms of hitting the nostalgia, the like surprising you, just merging like the like how great the game looks now and putting that 8-bit look into it, the music, the way you move around in that section of the game and how you navigate your way around it. I just think that that moment is everything. It's just pure fun.
Agreed.
That's the best way
I don't
to
think
put
any
it.
of us are gonna. We all agree it's gonna win, right?
Yeah, my only slight against it is I wish they would have shown it before the game was released. I wish that it was a
Okay.
No.
Let's guys. We need to
it's the
focus.
best, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When Justin said,
I am
"Hey
okay
guys,
with it
let's try to
winning."
stay on task here," everyone's like, "Okay, we'll stay on task for 2 minutes," and then we all just flew off the handle. All right.
It can win.
Okay.
These other moments are really, really great.
Yes, they're all great moments. They're all deserved. They all could win at any time. But we're all good, right? New Donk City Festival wins this one.
It's fine.
Okay.
Kelsey, not in agreement.
Everyone at home, she nodded. All right.
Sleepy, bless her.
Best story. Here we go. Night in the Woods, What Remains of Edith Finch, Near Automata, Horizon Zero Dawn, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Tacoma, Wolfenstein 2, Pyre, Life is Strange Before the Storm, AC Origins, Bury Me My Love, and that's it. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go first. I think that Tacoma is a really cool follow-up to Gone Home, but I don't think that it achieves the same fidelity of story. I think it's a good story. I don't think it's one of the 5 best stories of the year.
I agree.
Fair.
All right, Tacoma, Gone. Hugh, pick a game to cut.
I was also going to say, like, as much as it has cool moments and some great characters, I think as a story, Wolfenstein 2 isn't as strong as a lot of the
I don't
others
think
on
so.
this.
I don't know, man. Like, that's what that game does. Like, it's
That's
a story.
my pick for this category.
I think there's too much resistance to that. Pick something else.
Okay, fair enough. A couple of these I haven't played, so Pyre.
Pyre is a tough one. It's a really good story. It's probably the best story Supergiant's told. It takes so much to get into it.
Yeah.
That I'm okay with letting it go.
Okay.
But if I could just have sat and made the choices, I would have enjoyed it much more than playing space basketball.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's writing and the choices that you make are really good.
Okay. Cool.
They should have called it Spasketball.
Kelsey, nominate something to cut.
Make your face. Come on.
I'm okay with cutting Life is Strange.
Yeah. I'm with you,
Because
Kelsey.
we know how we know where Chloe goes towards the end of the story.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Life is
Compared
Strange.
to the others, I don't
Yeah.
mind cutting it.
And I think Life is Strange Before the Storm, it falls in that category of like the indie movie that has really great characters, but not necessarily like, if you look at just the bare plot of what happens in Life is Strange Before the Storm, it's like not that interesting, but like
Yeah.
it has good character development, interesting stuff, but I think that as the story goes, you can cut it.
I got it.
All right, got it. Cool. Matt, nominate something to cut.
I don't have anything I want to gut, but I want to ask about Assassin's Creed Origins. Someone sell me on it.
Do you think it's a best story contender?
Nah, I mean it
Like, not that it doesn't have a good story, just
for an Assassin's Creed game, it may as well take home an Oscar or whatever. It made me care about Assassin's Creed, and like the ending of it's hard to explain because like the ending of that game, I was like, Assassin's Creed means nothing to me, and I was like, that is really damn cool how they all tied this up together. Like it all comes together as a complete package, but like it's hard to say like that it's going to be as good of a story as some of these other games.
Okay, so
even as strongly as I feel about it, it's not gonna hold up.
All right. You haven't nominated a cut yet, right, Justin?
I haven't.
Okay, go ahead.
Hellblade, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, Hellblade has a lot of good things about it. I think the lead character is very good. I think the messages in Hellblade are very good, but I don't think it tells a particularly engaging story.
No, its story is a
think
mess.
Hellblade is a game that has like it does what it does very well in that it presents itself in an interesting way.
Yeah,
But the story and the gameplay aren't the best.
no, not the best. So here we go. Because now we're in tough territory now. Here's what I'm going to say, and I'm just going to flip this. I'm not saying I want to cut this, but I'm going to say What Remains of Edith Finch has great vignettes and great characters, but I don't know if it really tells like a great story from beginning to end.
No,
You know,
I agree.
It's more
I
like
agree.
a bunch of little moments that are I love what Remains of Edith Finch, and when we get to the end of this, I'm going to talk about it in very, very high esteem. But in this category, I feel like it's like you're seeing little snippets of this family, and they're really affecting. But I don't think it says like, okay, here's an interesting story with a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
To it.
I agree.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't
I'm okay
really.
cutting
You're
it.
sort of learning about, like you say, it doesn't sort of take you anywhere.
Yeah.
You're just sort
Yeah.
of yeah. I agree.
All right, so we can cut that. So I think we got 5.
That was incredible.
That was very easy.
All right, guys. Well done.
Very easy.
Good team.
Now the hard part.
I do want Kelsey, because I think this is the only place that's really going to get a lot of its like props, right? But Bury Me My Love is a mobile game that tells the story of Syrian refugees. And much like Emily is Away, it tells it all in like a single format, which is like a text message window. Kelsey, I don't know if you want to speak to it really quick, because I think it deserves to be talked about at least a little bit.
I mean, I think it deserves at least a nod for a best story because it's a real story, and I think it was very effective in like showcasing a life that very privileged people don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as someone with, like, let's say an iPhone, who can afford to, like, play a game on their phone and distract themselves for a couple of minutes a day, and realize that there's a lot worse things going on, that one, you would use your cell phone in a situation, and two, aspects of someone's life that by having this first person, like you're the character kind of thing, you get to see how heart-wrenching it is, and heart-wrenching difficulties that families go through today that I think people don't realize or don't want to realize.
Yeah.
You end up loving. I loved my wife. So like you end up really liking her because you're meant to like her at first.
Yeah.
But then she does cute things, and like you're afraid for her and you want to help her as best you can, but you can't because you guys are separated. And I think that that's something not a lot of people will go through and experience. So story-wise, I think it's a super important story and very relevant for our times right now.
Yeah, I've read a lot about that game, and it does.
Agreed.
I it's one of those games that like I will get to at some point, and it does, like, just from like everyone I know who's had anything to do with that game speaks like really, really, really highly of it. So yeah, it does. I think just from hearing sort of peers talk about it, I think, you know, and you speak highly of it, Kelsey. So
I'm glad it's on this list for sure. I'm happy that it's in our top 5. It's not going to win, but I'm glad that it's here in our top 5. So our top 5 is Night in the Woods, Nier Automata, Horizon Zero Dawn, Wolfenstein 2, and Bury Me, My Love. Let me just speak about Night in the Woods really fast, because I think for me, what we have, except for in Bury Me, My Love, which obviously is a very small and real story, with Wolfenstein and Nier and Horizon, we have big narratives, bombastic narratives, things that go to places that are operatic in a lot of ways, right? They're dealing with huge concepts in most of the time. And Night in the Woods is creating and crafting a story about a small town, about, even though they look like animals, about realistic characters who are going through something very real, which is the transition between childhood and adulthood. You're getting the story of a town which once was great, which is now sort of faded in the background, and very, very apt to what we're going through in our country right now. How the people who used to have power try to keep that power in any way imaginable, and the lengths that they'll go to keep it. And I think that they introduce some like supernatural elements to it, but the core story is, I think, a small one, but a very effective and interesting one. And so for me, it is when I think of best story, it is the one that stands out to me. I can understand that everyone is going to go there with me on this. I know there are some big and interesting stories on this list, but for me, that is the one that I would pick as a winner.
Night in the Woods was from the off my number one, because like you say, it's like, I don't mean to downplay, like, you know, it's not easy to put a good story in a video game, but to put a good story in a video game where you're aiming to do big things, like if you're like, say, like Wolfenstein 2, that game is tailor-made for just insanity and just big set piece moments that can just, you know, blow your mind type thing. Whereas like subtle writing and like quiet, I suppose, to a certain extent, video games, it's a lot more difficult to do, because I guess the story's more exposed, I suppose you could say.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just think that in terms of, and again, it's a subjective thing, because I think it's like how you connect with the characters in that game and what they're going through. So I think if you're somebody who's never experienced what those characters are going through, it could kind of like bounce off you a little bit. But I think for the subject matter and just the like even the aesthetic of it just like works towards like something that really like hit home for me. So yeah, Night in the Woods was my pick.
Justin, I'm guessing you're in the Nier camp on this one.
I mean, I would be. It's such a great story, but I could be talked into Night in the Woods.
Okay. My only knock against Nier is I feel like there's a lot of stuff you have to travel through in order to get that narrative. You know what I mean? Like there are long gaps in that game where I don't think anything vital is happening. You know, so it takes more. Not that means it's less worthy, right? Because media you have to engage with strongly and sort of challenges you in certain ways, I think is good, right? But for me, just when I think about core story, that's why Night in the Woods gets over me. Because if you just look at like pure like building blocks of what Nier does, like if I was to go you plot points of what Nier does, it's fucking crazy and amazing, right? But just like the general consensus of it for me is the issue.
I think that's where my like Horizon story falls short for me, because it's a fantastic story, but it's not paced very well. And I understand because of the type of game it is, it's difficult to pace a story in that, but it's almost as if you get to sort of like the last 5 or 6 hours in that game, and that's when it finally starts sort of making you feel like you're really engaged in it and wanting to push on.
Right.
And that's after.
I mean, I don't know if anybody has any and no one's going for Horizon here, right?
No.
Yeah. So I don't want to. I don't want to push for games that we know aren't gonna win right now. Kelsey, go ahead.
No, because I was gonna bring up a point that would perhaps make Horizon like lower on the list. So if we agree,
well, we don't need it to be lower right now.
It's not going to be number one.
We don't need it to be lower.
Yeah.
There's a lot I could say about Nier, but I'm saving that for our final discussion.
Yeah, I get you. I'm Matt. I know that you're. I think we're really talking. Well, I think Matt is.
I can concede on Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein has a lot of great set pieces, but I don't feel as passionate about Wolfenstein as what I've heard about Night in the Woods. So, for that I can.
And what do you want to say, Justin? You okay with Night in the Woods?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to battle hard for Nier at the end of this.
I get you.
But like I understand what you're saying. Like with Nier, it's like it's a lot of the things that you have to do in the end of Nier that blow my mind. Mm-hmm. And so we'll talk about those later. As a story, it's great. It has really great moments, like you said. Yeah. But there are moments where it's just like, there's not a lot going on. Yeah. Whereas Night in the Woods, the game itself is the story.
Right, yeah, exactly. All right, so congratulations, Night in the Woods. You won Best Story. All right, our last category, I think, of the thing is Best Looking Game.
Cuphead, move on.
Our nominees are Cuphead, Uncharted Lost Legacy, Horizon Zero Dawn, Destiny 2, Battlefront 2, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, and Assassin's Creed Origins.
Those are all some damn sexy video games.
They really are. I do
want to say, just so people know, because if it's people's first game of the year, best looking game, we don't want to separate them into technical and art, right? Because I think that's it's pointless at this point in video games to do that. So this is both like, oh my god, like Cuphead is not pushing the polygons that Battlefront 2 is, but we're going to attempt to compare them and get a list of 5 with those sort of statutes on them.
So here's a quick way we could pare down this list, according to me.
Okay.
So, and again, it's not technical versus artistic, but let's just say technical, right? Mm-hmm. Let's just look at the technical games on this list. You have Horizon, Uncharted, Destiny, Battlefront, and AC Origins.
Yes.
To me, none of them hold a candle to Horizon.
Oh, I disagree.
Horizon.
Uncharted is
fine. You want to say if there's one that does it, it's Uncharted.
Yeah.
But like Destiny, Battlefront, and AC Origins are all spectacular looking games.
Having played Battlefront 2 on Ultra and PC, that game looks phenomenal.
I'm playing it. I'm playing it on a 4K TV, on a Pro. So I get that it looks fantastic. But when you see Horizon running on top specs, it looks out of this world.
Can I just say, and then this doesn't disqualify it, like Battlefront. My knocking against Battlefront is just like, yes, it makes Star Wars stuff look really good, but they have the Star Wars stuff already there. They know what it looks like.
I was actually going to say, when we come down to pick a game to be cut, I will say, I think Battlefront 2 should be removed, because basically what they're doing is going, we have these, not so much existing assets, that's a bad way of putting it, but this existing world where the aesthetic is already there, and we just need to put it in, tweak it a little bit, and go. So I think in terms of like a game where we can cut first, Battlefront 2 is one, but it looks incredible.
It does. It looks great.
But there are some moments where it doesn't. I think some of the character, like
the Han Solo face.
The Han Solo face is rough.
And like Luke, they just look fucking weird.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And it's just I don't know. Like,
in all honesty, I'm not even I wasn't even thinking about the story when I was talking about how good it looks. I was just talking about like just the locations more than anything. But I know what you mean. The facial stuff is
weird decisions.
Weird. But cut.
In that same vein, can we get rid of Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Assassin's Creed is a wonderful looking game. It made me really interested in actually learning a little bit more about Egypt just from the way it looks. Like the city of Alexandria is like, it was like, oh, if this is what it really looked like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could go.
So we've done the 6 games.
Destiny can go. I think Destiny goes.
You think Destiny can go?
I think Destiny goes.
It's so funny. Like, I am like the Mr. not super excited about Destiny, but like I love the way Destiny looks.
Destiny looks really good, but like I'm trying to think of it like there's 2 other really great technical looking games on this list.
But the thing about Destiny, one thing I'll say about Destiny 2, and I can't believe I'm fucking fighting for Destiny 2 on something right now, is that it merges the two better than almost any game.
All right.
It merges the technical prowess with the
artistic.
With the artistic.
I could be all right. You're right.
In a lot of ways, and I'm not saying maybe it necessarily makes the list in the end, but I just like.
Hey, I love me some Destiny.
I know.
I'm thinking I'm going to be the one fighting for Destiny, so I'm trying to let go of it easily.
I think, to be honest, if we're talking about games that sort of already have an aesthetic applied, then like I think in terms of just like going into the
spit it out, you spit it out.
Is it going to be the Lost Legacy?
Well, no, I was going to say I think Horizon, because I just think the textures and the world and how well that game presents itself, I just think it looks marginally better than Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, Uncharted, you think it looks better than Horizon? You're saying?
I think the textures in that game and the detail is just.
But it's not just the textures.
Can
and
I
details.
tell you what I would cut off this list?
It's a giant robot dinosaur.
I got a thing.
Go ahead.
God forgive me, but does Mario Odyssey need to be on this list?
That's what I'm thinking. I don't think it belongs on this list.
Oh my god!
I mean, it looks great.
Oh my god!
But it looks like a really good Mario game, and there are a couple of things that are just like,
it does look like a polished like Mario Galaxy.
I don't like the dragon thing.
Why?
Yeah.
I just don't. It just looks fine. It looks like, okay, this looks like a dragon, but like it does like I don't know.
Okay, but
look at all right. So fine. To take out if you don't like the dragon, I do. I think it looks wild. Then look at some of the other kingdoms that is there. Like whether or not you like playing in the Luncheon Kingdom, there ain't nothing else.
The Luncheon Kingdom looks awesome. You're not going to hear me argue against the Luncheon Kingdom looking awesome. But like I think like the Wood Kingdom, like the Forest Kingdom looks aight.
But it adds a sense of realism to a Mario game that's not there.
Right, but that is my problem. That's where I think it falters. Which is I think that when it's pushing the Luncheon Kingdom and the Bowser thing, where it's doing this really fun art that Nintendo does so well, it looks amazing. But I think it falters when it's like I love the concept of, hey, here's a Skyrim dragon in a Mario game. Like, that's cool. But like, I just looks wise, I don't think it looks fantastic. And if I'm looking at the games that are on this list,
see, I would cut Zelda way before I would cut.
Crazy.
Whoa.
Crazy.
The fuck is wrong with you?
Who brought this guy
because
back?
Zelda is has an anime looking open world, But if you were to take that anime filter, but just listen to me, if you were to take that filter and then replace it with Skyrim, would like, there's nothing.
No, but Justin, that's the thing. If you took Cuphead and made them stick figures, the Cuphead wouldn't be best looking game. It's like you can't take away the look
It looks
of the
like
game.
Miyazaki made a fucking Zelda game, and
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It's a very good looking game, but I can't believe we're actually talking about cutting Odyssey. Like, it's blowing my mind we're talking about cutting Odyssey.
Look, you know how I feel.
And it was Matt who brought it up too.
Like I think Mario Odyssey looks amazing, but if we're gonna have, like, not that I'm saying we have to have.
Have you seen some of those costumes he wears?
Listen to me. The game I would
Sure.
cut.
Why is Uncharted on this list?
Because Uncharted looks amazing.
Yeah, I don't think it looks anywhere. I don't think it looks good as Horizon.
I disagree with you on that. I disagree with you.
How many times have we seen jungle in an Uncharted game?
If you're going to talk to me just about the,
I know, but like, we've seen it from Uncharted before.
The terrain.
It is great looking jungle. It is great looking stuff to climb on.
the characters also look amazing.
But if you're gonna say like it looks like a Mario game, that looks like any other Uncharted game I've seen.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, I didn't even bring it up, and Matt brought it up, but I was going to say, I don't think that people are going to go with me on this, but I was going to say I'd be willing to cut Mario.
Whoa, I am.
This is the guy who brought it up. Is now humming.
Because he realizes, like, if we're going to talk about it looks like any other Mario game, all the Uncharted games look the same.
But honestly, my real knock against Mario is not that it looks like a Mario game. It's that I misspoke when I said that. It's those moments. Look, I think Mario Odyssey looks fantastic. But we're talking about the best looking games of the year. I feel like there are times in Mario where it goes off that track for me. That's my problem.
Look, I know I brought up Mario, but Uncharted.
Kelsey, what do you got to say about this?
No, I agree. If we're gonna say that Mario looks like every other Mario game, then we can easily say that Uncharted does too.
Yeah.
And
All right, let's take that. Like, Bobby said he misspoke on that, so let's take that.
Sure.
Train of thought off the table.
Okay.
How do you feel about the games on this? Like, what would you cut in it right now? Like, is
I'd cut
Odyssey your choice to
Uncharted.
cut? You would cut Uncharted.
No.
I would cut Uncharted too.
I think I would cut Destiny 2, honestly.
I'm gonna be really weird here and really surprise myself. I can't see Destiny 2 not being on this list.
Bobby's right. It does marry the fantastic to the technical in a way that no other game on this list
And it's-
does.
you can't
Like, maybe Horizon does with your giant robot stegosauruses and stuff.
Yeah, they look like whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna ding on Horizon. Horizon looks great, but I will just say that, like, Destiny 2, and also it looks very different from Destiny 1, which is also, I think, a big point for it. It doesn't recycle areas. It creates new areas, and those skyboxes.
That raid area is really, like,
Those
when you first
skyboxes
land in
are
that raid area,
fun.
it is stunning.
Yeah.
So we're gonna cut Cuphead, right?
I can't even do that.
I'm joking.
If we're gonna cut something, I think Horizon. I know it hurt me to say that because that game looks damn cool and there is a lot of cool design in it, but I just think as an overall package, Uncharted, from characters to the world to, from top to bottom, just looks better.
Here's my only problem, and Hugh, I do agree with you. I'm actually on the exact same page as you. The only problem is I feel like I think Uncharted Lost Legacy looks great, but my passion for the way that Uncharted Lost Legacy looks is not the same passion that Justin has for the way that Horizon looks. Like, I don't
That is a fair point.
I don't dislike Horizon the way it looks at all, but, like, I don't love Uncharted the way it looks the same way that Justin seems to love the way Horizon
All right,
looks.
yeah, okay.
I really like the way Horizon looks.
But also,
Go ahead, Kelsey.
also Horizon integrates, like, there's a multitude of things that they had to create and color and add and animate, and, like, I just don't see Horizon not being on the list either.
Okay, yeah, I will say, yeah, I think people, Justin and Kelsey, I would say, feel more strongly about Horizon looking good than I do Uncharted.
Yes.
So
I'm going to hold your hand,
cut,
Hugh.
Or no, I'm just saying that was a good like qualify for
No,
me
I agree
in
with
terms
you.
of like clearing up my thought process.
But what I'm saying to you is I'm going to hold your hand and we're going to jump off this cliff and we're going to cut Uncharted together, okay?
By Uncharted. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy for Horizon to be on the list. Like I fucking love that game. So
Like, is anything on this list beating Cuphead?
no.
No.
Hence
Not
why
at
I
this
said
point, no.
Cuphead and move on.
Nothing's beating
Yeah.
Cuphead. Cuphead looks amazing.
I just think in terms of something that is unique and just like for what it is and how it works, I just think it's an incredible achievement, that video game.
When they showed that first
Yes.
30 seconds of Cuphead, not even 15 seconds of Cuphead
Yeah.
4 years ago on that E3 montage, everyone was like, what the hell was that? There's no way they can make the game actually look like that.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah.
It took 4 years,
and
but
just
they
down
did.
to, like,
Yes.
just like the way the screen sort of like pops and crackles like an old like movie reel does, and just little touches like that, and just it's like I think, and again for when you put into consideration how small a team, how few people actually made that game, it's an amazing achievement. I think.
Yeah,
Cuphead.
absolutely.
It's wonderful.
So that's going to wrap our category section. Congratulations, Cuphead, for winning Best Looking Game. Let me
Yeah.
run down the other winners. Best Story, Night in the Woods. Best Moment or Sequence, the New Donk City Festival in Super Mario Odyssey. Best Character, Pascal from Nier. Best Music, Super Mario Odyssey. Did we pick Best Music, Super Mario
Yeah.
Odyssey? Okay.
Yeah. Shockingly.
That felt like so long ago to me.
It did. It felt like it.
It's because it was.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Best Style, Persona 5. Best Style, Persona 5. That was the winner. Yeah. I guess Best Music was like 7 years ago, huh?
During the course of these conversations, we cut 4 categories that we weren't going to do because this is taking forever.
It's taking a long time. But I think we got good ones here.
Yes, we got some good ones.
So we're going to take a little bit of a break, and then we're going to just come back and do
Game of the Year.
Game of the Year. So I just want to, this might be the outro for the part one of the podcast, so I'm going to say, and I'm not going to have you all say, I'm just going to thank all of you at one time. I'm not going to have you to thank you. Thank you, Justin, Kelsey, Hugh, and Matt, and thank you to everyone who's listening. We'll see you next time for part 2 of Game of the Year.